Welcome to Paperweights, the podcast where two self-proclaimed gym rats and shooting enthusiasts delve into the world of literature with a sprinkle of humor. Although their biceps could crush a walnut, don't let that intimidate you. They also have a nerdy side. Mike and Brandon have a voracious appetite for reading, particularly in the fantasy genre, and they want to share their passion with you. So grab your protein shake and your favorite novel and join us for a humorous and insightful journey into the world of books with Paperweights.
Welcome back to another episode of the Paperweights. I'm Brandon.
Justin.
And I'm Chris.
Welcome back, Chris. It's been a few episodes.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I wanted to get your opinion. You've kind of become addicted to the Stormlight Archives now.
Yes,
We are halfway through the books that are currently out for the Stormlight Archives. So, and I wanted to get you on here and kind of have you kind of give your opinion as somebody that's brand new to it. Justin and I have read what's out so far, pretty much, but a lot of it we've forgotten. So it's kind of fun.
Oh, yeah.
So it should be a good conversation. We'll be covering Edgedancer in its entirety. And it sounds like we've got a mix opinions about the book, rather.
It is our opportunity to correct the incorrect opinion.
Okay. We'll see if we can change that by the end. So before we get started, this podcast is sponsored by Mudcat Whiskers, a beard care product company. They also sell candles. They are based out of Louisiana. And I like to support my local businesses. So you can head on over to www.mudcatwhiskers.com and peruse their stock and use code Paperweights at checkout to save yourself 15%. And while we're on the topic of beards, I entered myself into a beard competition yesterday at the last minute for a charity, and I walked away with third place in the 0 to 6 inch category, which, fellas, just goes to show that it's not really about the length, but about the quality that you have. And yeah, so that was fun. And our sponsor, Nick, who owns Mudcat Whiskers, he was there as well. He was one of 5 judges. Maybe a conflict of interest, but who knows? I didn't win first place, so yeah, you can't really say that there was any bias. Is that the word, right?
Yeah. Collusion is another.
Collusion, yeah. So it was fun.
What's the term in business where you give preferential treatment to like your
Nepotism?
Nepotism. That's what I was going.
Yeah.
That's usually more like
family.
But family, but yeah.
Yeah, family, and you just give a person a job and shit like that. So
yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's fun. There was in my category there were 5 people, which I was actually surprised there weren't more people, because if you're going from 0 to 6 inches, like if you just grow something, you're in that category.
Yeah. Like I'm in that category. My beard's much smaller than yours.
The category that had the most people was between 6 and 12 inches. And
that makes sense.
They had some amazing beards. The mustache group, like they were on point. And then there was also the 12 plus inch group that had like, I think I want to say 3 or 4 people maybe in it. And I heard one guy, I think his beard was like 19 inches long. But yeah, fun times. They even had kids in a woman's division, so if they made their own beards to put on their face, they got in there, and a chops division. So there were two competitors in the chops division. And Yeah, the one that won first place in there, his was very, very elaborate. It's quite amazing. So I think it reminds me of, what was it, Hotel Transylvania? The evil guy had a beard type thing. Chris
Oh,
would know. I wouldn't expect Justin to know.
no, not in Hotel Transylvania.
No, I'm a big Transylvania guy. My favorite.
I mean, it's one of Nora's favorite. I've watched that movie plenty. Like in the first one, there is no real bad guy.
Yeah, in Hotel Transylvania 3
In Hotel Transylvania 3, the bad guy is
has
the old
chops.
guy.
Yeah. I'm looking at a picture of him right now. He's got chops.
Yeah, man.
He's a very
Also-
old man in a wheelchair, I think. He's like a mad.
Yeah, Hotel Transylvania, Van Helsing.
Yeah. He's got
Yeah,
some.
oh yeah, the white. Okay, I remember now.
Yeah. So
The Civil War style chops.
yeah. All right. So shall we dive into Justin's favorite book of all time, Edgedancer?
I think we should slide into it.
Slide into it.
Yeah.
Oh,
No
Hopefully
friction.
this podcast is frictionless.
ah.
Maybe this episode is what helps our podcast grow.
Mm, mm.
Mhm.
It can cultivate some more followers.
Ah, looks like Justin's just gonna be like, well, why the hell did I agree to this?
No, I just couldn't think of a pun. And I didn't want to, so I didn't try that hard.
Yeah, so Edgedancer is the story of Peter Pan if he were a girl and he had a chaperone butler.
Yeah.
Or
Sure?
I mean, they don't really go to another world with Indians and pirates and stuff.
No,
Unless it's-
but her wish, apparently her wish
Want to get old?
was to not grow older.
yeah, it's not coming true.
I mean, her
I was hoping it was going to be revealed she was like 100 years old, but it's not.
we don't
She
know.
is-
She could be.
Yeah.
She's a very unreliable narrator. And in fact, like in the first chapter, so if you're joining us, we're not covering the prologue because the prologue was an interlude in Words of Radiance, and we discussed that on that episode. So we're going to be starting with chapter 1. But yeah, she's a very unreliable narrator. Throughout this book, we see her name things incorrectly, mostly like the grand indicium. She calls it all sorts of different things, like the grand indecision and the grand indifference. I actually thought at first in chapter 1 that Brandon Sanderson had a typo. Instead of Axe Hound, it was Axe Hines. And I was like, that's strange. But then I realized later, I was like, you know what? That's probably just Lyft going, I don't remember the name of that. This sounds similar. Cool. I'll run with it. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me that much. So it's so fun. I enjoy the character. I enjoy the character Lyft.
Yeah, she's fine. I think she's a really good side character. I don't think she carries the novel, but this isn't a novel. It's just kind of a little short story, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I like her. I'm all about her.
Yeah, my general opinion, and it's basically confirmed by Sanderson at the end of the book, where he's like, I kind of wanted to do a story and had some stuff, so I just threw this together. This is not really a necessary novel. I would skip it. I did skip it when I first read whatchamacallit, because not really much happens. You get like the dude's like, oh no, the desolation's here. My philosophy's stupid. And then like Lift's like, kind of that's what Lift does. She's like, I'm gonna go back to the palace. It's like, cool. Like it's not necessary. It's fun, kind of, but I would probably just skip it. Like I would never reread this book. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it.
I like it. Mm.
Justin, did you want to do the plot summaries or me? I can if you want.
You probably have more than I have because I didn't really take too much notes as I was reading. So if you want to go, you can.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna go chapter by chapter. I don't think this episode is gonna be as long as a lot of the others, just because
It
most of the
is
chapters are like 8 to 10 pages long. And
Yeah, it is funny. The Coppermine summaries, they're each like 2 sentences. It's really funny. It's like Liv went here and then she ate some pancakes.
yeah.
It's like that's like the end of the chapter. It's really funny. Anyway,
All right. So chapter 1, Lift is just like she's been sliding around frictionless, using her awesomeness, which we know is her surge binding, her surges. She removes all friction and basically just slides around until she hits something, which she often does. But luckily, her Stormlight heals any injuries that she gets along the way, so she doesn't have to be as careful. So she's in the Tashiki countryside with Wendell, and he's like, "Why are we going here? We should go back because we had a cush life. You were getting taught how to read, and you got all the food that you wanted." And she's like, "I don't know. I just want to go to this place. I heard they have 10 types of pancakes." And Wendell's like, "Ugh, why did I have to bond to you? I was a gardener, and I gardened chairs." Um, and like we learned he had a collection of spren of chairs in Shadesmar. And we find out that Lift's request to the Night Watcher was to basically not grow up and not change. And we see through the novel she's questioning if that actually came true. And she she still wants to be a kid, and she still kind of acts like a kid. But that's what happens in this chapter.
so I have a question for y'all. Is it weird that Wendell has a collection of Spren? Wouldn't it be like I have a collection of humans and I like pose them and stuff? Because he's a Spren and he has collections of Spren of stuff. Just weird.
Well,
I mean, it makes sense.
yeah, because in general, like the Spren are just ideas of things in the physical realm, right? And so that like all the beads of glass in Shadesmar, all of those are Spren. But they vary in intelligence. I think of Spren almost like, so in Shadesmar, Spren are atoms or molecules or collections of things with various levels of autonomy and intelligence, right? So if you think
Yeah.
about it that way, I think it makes sense. But if you think about it, them all as being capable of the higher intelligence that we've seen in the
Which they all are.
Radiant Spren. I don't think they all are.
I think if people like all collectively like a chair or something, it would get intelligence. Like I'm sure like the Mona Lisa has a intelligence spread. It has enough people that observe it and think about it and get a spread.
Yeah, but it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't be able to change because it is what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Like I think the Spren that are bonded to our radiance, they are what they are and they can change. And so that's why they become into existence in the world. Whereas the Mona Lisa, everybody's observing it for what it is and not wanting it to change. So just like we saw with the ship or the stick in Roads of Radiance, it would resist becoming something different. It would always want to be the Mona Lisa. So it'd be willing itself into non-intelligence or unintelligence.
Maybe.
No,
I don't know. It's pretty weird.
they are weird, and I never thought of what you just proposed. So it's like, you have anything else on this one, Chris?
No.
I don't have anything on
You
this
too,
one other
Justin.
than I'm trying to remember. Is this the one where she was still trying to experiment, doing it on her feet rather than on her knees?
I think that happens throughout the book.
Yeah, like because in the prologue, like the interlude one, she was on her knees the whole time. Like she was sliding on her knees, and on this one, she talks about how she wants to do it on her feet because it doesn't look as silly as doing it on her knees, but she keeps tripping over stuff.
And also, darkness told her that like they could like slide on like the thinnest rope on their like feet and stuff. How she was clumsy. So I think she's also trying to like level up.
Yeah, and so by this book, right? She's already said the second ideal, right?
Yeah, because she has the shard blade or shard fork.
Well, no, at the end of the book, she says the third ideal. The third ideal is when your spren can become a shard blade,
No,
right?
I don't know.
Because at the end of Words of Radiance, Kaladin spoke the third idea.
I mean it's
of the
different.
Wind.
It's different for
Yeah,
every order
I think
though, because the light weavers only have one ideal, and then they
Mhm.
just speak truth. So I don't know what Edgedancers need.
Right, but the first ideal is the same for every order.
Yeah,
And it's life
Life
before
before-
death,
yeah.
journey before destination, strength before weakness.
yeah,
And
but it seems like she had already spoken to like I'll remember the ones that are lost or whatever the hell her.
right,
So I
I'll
don't know if
remember
this
those
is-
who were forgotten. And then at the end of this one, she says, I will listen to those. What was it? I probably wrote it down, but anyway, it was another one about listening to people. So it was another ideal, and I think it's the third ideal.
Maybe. I don't know.
So, but all right. So, chapter 2, she arrives at the city of Yadal, which she's heard that she like people are like everybody needs to go see this city, and so she's like, we're gonna go there. We learned that she kind of heard about darkness or Nail going to the city anyway to hunt somebody, and so that's why she's there. She's kind of following her ideal of listening to people that aren't listened to. And on the way there, Wendell and Lift are discussing all the news from that Gawks received from Dalinar about the events at the end of Words of Radiance, where they discovered the Oath Gate, and then the war with the fight with the Pershendi and the Everstorm, and the unexpected high storm that's coming during the Weeping, which we learned it has already passed over Yadal. The high storm has already passed over Yadal, and this is where we find about the 10 types of pancakes. And she got rid of all the spheres that Gawks gave to her. And Wendell was like very confused. Like, he gave you so much money and you were just like, nah, I don't need money. Which she doesn't need the spheres for her surges because she just metabolizes food into Stormlight. Which is pretty cool. And I was thinking about that, and just the way Lift's character is, and that's pretty much the events of the chapter, by the way. But the way Lift's character is set up, her being an urchin, and she doesn't have access, like unlimited access to food, right? So it's like a built-in limitation for her, but a cooler one than using spheres.
Yeah, she kind of reminds me of the Flash. It's like a lot of the Flash storylines are like, I eat 1 billion calories a day because I go like, light speed. So but yeah, it's a cool thing. Even though she doesn't still, for some reason, know that she could just suck in Stormlight because she doesn't listen to Wendell.
I honestly believe she could have just stayed in the palace, had all the food she wanted to. She could have brought the money with her. I feel like she feels like she constantly, in a weird way, has to prove herself. So that's why she has to like go out with no resources and get her own food. And she has this weird thing where she just has to kind of keep proving to herself, no, I got this. I'm on my own. I can, I'm doing the right thing for the right reason. And I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm interested in learning more about her relationship with her mother and what happened there and how that ties into her trauma and the decision for Wendell and the Ring, which is like a group of cultivation spren who decide who gets to bond somebody. I want to learn more about that decision with the spren and Lift and her bonding to him. So
yeah,
Guessing it has something to do with the Night Mother or whatever. That's why
Yeah.
they picked her. It kind of said that in the 3rd book. It was like she was young and she had been visited by the old magic. That's kind of why they did it. But it'd be
you mean the second book?
whatever book she's in. Yeah, second book.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming to the 3rd book.
I was like, did you go ahead and read the 3rd book?
No, but it's in her interlude.
Yeah, it is in
But
her.
I'm guessing we're gonna eventually go to Shadesmar. If Yasna can go back and forth with Shadesmar, so we might meet the Ring, which would be cool.
Yeah, it's interesting here. Some other little information we picked up in this chapter. Like the cultivation spren don't have cities. But like the cryptics and the honor spren do inside of Shadesmar. So like the cultivation spren are basically just nomads. They go wherever they want to be. They're not interested in being tied down to a specific place, which is kind of makes sense if you're talking about like nature and growing things and yeah. Yadal is pretty interesting as a city. I don't know if this is true, but Lift says that Yadal was carved out in the ground by people that commissioned the Imperial shard blades. And they built the city with the shard blades, which would be it's a cool idea and a cool story,
Yeah.
but it seems fantastical and childish.
It does. One thing about it though is because it's built in those trenches, like it's good for storms coming either direction versus having like a big wall just on one side and then the every storm comes. So hypothetically, it could be revealed like later on, like in a 4th book or the 5th or something like that Yadal is like a fortress made by the Radiants way in the past as like a last like a hey, this is something in case this future Everstorm thing actually does happen. Here's a fortress that we can go to, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
Besides,
I don't know.
or
Her explanation, it seemed like Sanderson world building to me, not like Lift making it up. And like it checks out the Aesir. She said like they're not used for like fighting that much, but they have the shard blades, so they would use it for like civic good. So it made sense, but it might just be made up.
it might be a callback to that chapter. What was that in I was in Words of Radiance where Delinar went out and started chopping up things, right? Or was that in
That was the 1st book, but yeah.
the 1st book? Yeah.
Yeah, it also kind of
They make
reminds
these-
me of the Shattered Plains. and the idea of just like vibrations removing all the sand between the buildings and things. So I wonder if it's like a call to that, and we're gonna learn there's some relationship between Yadal and Storm Seat.
Maybe they're pretty far away, but maybe.
Yeah, but I mean they are all on the same planet.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, it's a cool city to set this in.
yeah, I like it. We also she does mention the other city that Kaladin had a dream of, Sesamalek's Dar. And again, she's like, well, that place has been a war zone for 1 billion years. But she mentions it as another place that most people should visit. But again, she doesn't want to just because it seems scary and warish. And the last interesting thing, and you will see this relate in Wendell and Lift's relationship the whole time, where Wendell, a lot of times when he's serious, it's like, you need to do this. There's more words to say. There's something you need to do to advance your life. And she's like, yeah, shut up. We're just be a void bringer, you dummy. But in this one, he said something about like, I think this is the chapter where he says, "Oh, I don't want you to hit me with things," which obviously is like, okay, yeah, he can become a shard blade, um, and he mentions like, yeah, you should get your own shard blade, and she's like, well, how can I do that? Tell me, tell me how I could do that, and he tries, and she's like, no, that's silly. Tell me where I can find one. It's like, you have to say some words. Like, I don't like to say words. I said words already. So
Like overall, I just want to say, after finishing the second book and moving on to this book, right away, the tone of this book is just so much lighter.
yes.
And it's a nice, like, it's like, all right, like we just had we just had a fight above where the epic, just regular storm hits the red Everstorm, and that's clashing while two basic like demigods are hovering above the storm, flying at each other, fighting, and then like eventually teleporting on top of the ruin that's a mile tall on top of mountains as they're overlooking the destruction of the world. And then it's like, all right, we're gonna do this chick who's like sliding around because she wants some pancakes.
Justin's like,
Like,
no, give me the seriousness.
No, I mean it's
yeah,
fine.
like, and the thing about it is like, since like it would be a spoiler if we were just doing part of the book, but like since you know the whole book, like it gets real.
It does.
I just
Real.
I just think this could have been an interlude in book 3.
It could be a 3-hour interlude.
Yeah, it would just be like two interludes were good. Like it didn't need to be what it is. It's fine. Like I said, this is like a 6.5 out of 10. Like it's readable, it's fun, it's fine, it's very forgettable. Like
Your score went up from before we started recording.
Yeah, I think I said like a 6.
That's not 6.5.
6.5 is higher.
Sure, like it's not badly written. It's just kind of like, all right, yeah, cool. Like I read it, I'm like, yeah, this is fine. Liv's cool. I don't think she can. She's a really cool character. I don't think she can, as she is now, be a main character of a novel. This is like a little short novella. It's fine. The first half of this book is pretty boring. She's just kind of doing stuff. I'm like, that's cool. Yeah. Like it's fine. But like once I've read it, I would never reread this novella, which is fine. It's not really that important to the main story, I don't think. Because I read book 3 back in the day without reading this, because I owned Edgedancer. I never finished it. And it didn't detract anything. She kind of, no, I won't get into spoilers. But yeah, so like it's fine. It's a thing that exists. It's cool. But yeah, I don't like. I have like not that much opinions on it, but like it's fine. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Warbreaker, which is like I read Warbreaker and I was like, oh yeah, that was fine. I don't remember anything about Warbreaker at all. I just remember it being like a 6.5. Like, oh, that was pretty good. I'm probably never gonna reread it again. And that was kind of it. Which like things like that need to exist and do exist, so it's fine.
Yeah, we won't get into Warbreaker, but I just reread that earlier. And it does have ties to Stormlight. It does.
I'm
So
like 10 chapters into Warbreaker.
yeah.
Yeah.
Our chapter 3,
Chapter 3.
the only chapter in this book that is not from Lift's point of view.
This threw me. But yeah, sorry, I'll get after the summary. I'll tell you.
Yeah, so the point of view is Halka, or Halka, who is a guard outside of Yada. And so she's basically an immigration guard or border patrol. And there's a line of immigrants that are trying to escape the Everstorm coming and to try to find shelter. And so they stop a supposed farmer who has a choll cart full of talu, but he doesn't look rough and ragged like a farmer does. Like his hands are soft, they're not worn out. His skin isn't like dry and cracked like he's been out in the sun. So she's suspicious of him. She checks the cart, doesn't find anybody hiding in the cart, goes in, brings the paper to her superior. They decide that they're going to also charge, in addition to charging the tariffs for bringing food in, they're going to charge them with smuggling and fencing, because they can't prove that he stole the food from anybody. So while they were doing the paperwork, Lift snuck into the cart to eat raw grain, which she did not enjoy, but it does give her the same benefits of Stormlight. Luckily, she didn't get stabbed by the sword, but the guards noticed that the tarp was moving, and so then there's a little chase around the guard shack, and she steals the pancakes that were sitting out, finds out, okay, this is pancake counter 1, and she's tasted tuck cakes, which are basically actually all the pancakes are kind of a New Year's dinner meal situation, but the tuck cakes are basically was it the black eyed peas? They're eaten for prosperity. So it's either the cabbage or the black eyed peas for your
I think cabbage is money.
Money.
Yeah, cabbage is money. And ham is health.
Yeah, so I think it would be peas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are the beans of the New Year's meal. She dumps the grain off the ledge into the city, into the immigrant quarters, and they hear cheers from down below. That's funny. I did not finish my sentence here. I said Halka says it's A, and then there's nothing after, so I don't know what that is. Oh,
Okay.
I think that I was talking about the pancakes. Anyway, then the chapter closes with Halka noticing black dust at her feet, which means that Wendell was there and left his remains as he escaped with Lift. So,
I wonder if all the cultivation spren leave something behind.
I don't know.
Like wind sprens don't. Like, it's the only spren so far I heard that actually leaves something behind, even if it doesn't want to be seen.
Yeah, I think every sprint is different, so
Yeah.
it's like the cryptics can't turn invisible, right? Even or pattern can't, but he's drawing. So I don't know.
He
Yeah,
blends
they're all
in.
weird.
Pattern
blends.
just decides to blend in places.
Yeah, but he can't turn him invisible. Just fun. But I
Right.
think that's because he was a drawing.
And he's kind of halfway handicapped. he's not the smartest.
Pattern's pretty smart. Started off dumb, but they all do.
Yeah. He's getting smarter. Yeah, so I know Chris had some things. I wanted to point out that we hear again the mention of the war between the Tukari and the Emule, and another mention of the Tukari God King. And so I'm really interested in who this God King is and why it's named the God King. Cosmere related, my mind is going to Susabron from Warbreaker.
Yeah.
And maybe he's a crab person.
Maybe he is a
Because
crab
we
person.
meet one of those in this book.
And we know that there's more of those. They're called the Sleepless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
That guy's. I love that guy.
So, yeah, those are the events of this chapter. I was sorry. I know I was going to give it over to you, Chris, but I was
Okay.
confused that they name a person Rez, but they only mention it's mentioned in a sentence where Lift goes between Rez's legs, and I'm like, Brandon did not establish who Rez is. I assume he's either they're either a scribe or another guard inside this guard shack, but I have no clue.
Yeah.
No proof.
This chapter messed me up for the rest of the book in a way because just using logic, like like story-based logic, he did a point of view from this guard captain. The guard captain was one of the first named characters besides the lift, who we already knew, like, and then they had a point of view, and then it followed to her home.
And then nothing
And
happens.
I'm like, all right, like when he's like, he like darkness is searching for this other surge binder. I'm like, this is Chekhov's gun, like why would he be holding this person up who should be not that big of a deal to the story, like no one of great interest, but definitely putting a lot of interest in her. And then no.
Yeah, she's kind of. I also thought she was gonna be more important.
Yeah, I was like
maybe in book 3. I don't know. Maybe she returns. But yeah, it was strange.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing. I thought there was going to be at least another chapter somewhere along the way that was not Lift's point of view.
Yeah.
Or like the captain was gonna like save Lift at the end and sacrifice herself or something in the fight, or just something where she is important to the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. Also, I had a thought. So Lift can eat stuff to turn in. Could she like eat like a rock? Could she be like a space marine and turn the rock into Stormlight, or does it have to be like food?
I think her and Wendell discussed this a few times, where it's like, because she's trying to eat a handkerchief at some point, right?
Yeah.
And she can't. Like she had. I guess if she can metabolize it, if the body can metabolize it, I think she can. So
Yeah.
if your body can metabolize a rock, then sure, you can use a rock to.
She just needs to eat gum, and she'll have 5 years of Stormlight.
I don't think gum is dense in calories. Maybe it's a way to turn calories into. Yeah. Which I think it is, because she does stay, like, she's like, man, if I eat and I don't use my awesomeness, it just disappears after like 6 hours. And she's like, and I don't know why. It's kind of weird. And then my stomach grumbles and I'm hungry again. But like, Well, it's the normal state of things, Lift. So, anything else in this chapter?
Not really.
All right, it's just I will say I like how the story is still kind of at this point small, and it's not too clear exactly why she gets here Lift. Like I know Justin is kind of like, oh, she's a good side character. I feel like throughout the book, she actually, it's not that she develops as a character, it's that you get more of who she actually is.
He
And
does develop as a character.
well, no, I think that, well, she does develop as a character. She like decides to listen to him. But I'm saying like also, like at first, it's just she's coming to the city. She doesn't want to be strapped down. She wants to be a kid. She wants to be free. Yay, this place has pancakes. I'm going to come eat your lunch. Woo. And then by the end of it, you're like, no, this is a person who is legit been traumatized. She's actually afraid to grow up and become, and like she isn't here necessarily to run away. She's here to, even if it means sacrificing herself to save an innocent person. And she wants to save innocent, and this is like, and you find out that there's a lot of depth to her, but at this point you still don't know that. At this point it's still kind of just like, oh, this is this light fun story about this light fun character, and it's not too deep. And
Yeah,
I don't know.
like okay, this is it develops her as a child with a childlike mentality,
And then,
and you're just like, okay, we know how she is, but by the end of the book, you get to see, okay, there's more to her than
yeah,
one that even she doesn't know.
Yeah.
yeah.
She's a cool character.
So. Chapter 4. Go back to Liv's point of view. So she's walking around the streets. She just landed in the streets in the immigrant quarters. She's looking for food. Wendell is griping about having been bonded to her, mentions how cool it would have been to be bonded to a cobbler somewhere, and cultivate shoes and things like that, and have a garden of shoes. And I'm pretty sure this is, it's too coincidental not to be referred to M, the cobbler that was killed by darkness.
Yeah, because he had a
her-
cultivation sprint.
Yeah. Yeah. So she lifted a book. She lifted a book from the guard house, which actually is just like a time clock book for all the employees and guards when they come in and out. And she's like, man, I could trade this book for information or food or money. And Wendell's like, well, they're only worth what's in the thing. And she's like, well, yeah, pages. And it's like, what's on the pages? Like, well, words. He's like, the words matter, which is a theme for this book as well. That words do matter, and you can't just think them. You actually have to say them for the knight's radiant ideals anyway. So she's like, well, if this is useless, then I don't need it. Tosses it over her shoulder, and it hits a lady who yelps loudly, and then a guard's like, wait, did you just assault that person? And goes on a chase.
You could have
So-
been like, no. And the guard would have been like, okay, yeah, you just threw a book. That's not really assault, but whatever. If it is, maybe there's a lot of people in jail in the city. It's like, if I drop something and hit somebody, I guess I assaulted you.
Strict rules in Yadal. All right, and anybody any opinions or anything on this?
So not too much on this chapter for me. Just it was kind of one of those things where it's still playing with the world. Like if anything, this is one of the chapters where I could get where Justin's coming from, where it's kind of like, okay, like I get it. Like if Brandon Sanderson didn't make this a novelette, but he made it like a few interludes, this would probably be skipped.
Right, I could see that. Yeah, this would not need to be done. The conversation, it's mainly the conversation between Lift and Wendell, and he could put that into other action
Yeah.
in some of the others. So,
Yeah.
but the coloration. So, I think of places like New Orleans or old cities that are downtown and where all the buildings are like right next to each other and almost look like it's one building because they literally built the brick wall back to back with no gap in between. Um, so all the buildings there, minus the shanties that are built in the middle, up on like pillars or pylons, which confused me at first when I was reading it. I was like, are these just out in the middle of like the alleyway? Um, but all the buildings that are built into the rock, they're painted different colors to denote like where one building ends and like the next one is. I can't, it reminds me of Carbranth, but I don't know if they painted the buildings here based on function like they did in Carbranth.
Yeah.
Um, so, and in the next chapter, we find out about I think it was in the next chapter, or it might have been this one, that there's communal ovens in the streets where people can just go use and cook food. I was like, that's cool.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
If you're living on top of each other like that, it makes a lot of sense where the government's like, we're gonna have all the fire over here. You don't burn down the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though most of the city, I'm guessing, is made out of stone. But
Yeah.
still, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, you got anything, Justin?
No, it's kind of just the pass by
Other
chapter
chapter?
to get to get to other things.
Yeah. All right, chapter 5. So Lift has escaped the guard that is chasing her. Yeah, she's already said the ideal. I will remember those who have been forgotten. Apparently that was right before the or I think it was during the interlude chapter, the prologue. It was either during that her encounter with darkness or right before it. And then Wendell starts to kind of question her. He's like, why haven't you visited your home in the Reshi Isles? And it's like, did you really come here to find darkness? And philosophical, who are you? And Lift doesn't really have an answer for who she is, but wants to go find urchins. It's like, let's go find some urchins and hang out because those are my lost boys.
That's also a good way to get information at the city.
True.
Which is kind of what she does next chapter.
Yeah. But this chapter is basically just her thinking of philosophical questions that Wendell is proposing to her. Overall, I thought it was fun to build the relationship between Wendell and Lift and add another complexity to Spren in general. That as a Radiant or Surge Binder takes more ideals and levels up, the Spren becomes more sentient and much more of a character and not just that's the little fairy that's when it's around this person has power. It's no, okay, there's a complexity with the relationship here that adds to what we now know of the tragic nature of the Radiants abandoning their oaths, because now we're realizing all of those people that went and gave up their shard blades, they severed this. It's almost like raising a puppy to become a dog and then killing it.
Yeah, they all at the same time are like,
So it adds a tragic layer to that when you realize it and think about it. It's like, oh, this is a fun relationship.
Yeah, I hope we get more of the information about the Recreants and why they did it and stuff like that, because we don't really know exactly why they severed their bonds and stuff. But hopefully get more of that.
Knowing Brandon Sanderson, I can almost guarantee that information is going to come, but it's probably not going to come as quickly as you want it to.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering if it's all the Radiants, because like if you think about it, the Radiants, I mean, they're not a hive mind. Everybody's their own person. So I wonder if there was one like a few Radiants who were just like, yeah, I can't. I love my sprint. I can't do this. Or like what was a cause for everyone to agree to do it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
and
gotta
we
be
know
something.
that the Heralds still exist, so
But they don't. The Heralds don't have a bond.
No.
yeah.
They don't have a spren. The Heralds themselves don't have a spren.
And they're also all the ones we found are all kind
Crazy
of dumb.
and crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, this sprint stuff also reminds me a lot of his Dark Materials. They're demons.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same, but like the severings of it and all that stuff and how it like messes you up. It's kind of interesting. I wonder if he took a little bit of that.
Yeah, my only experience with his Dark Materials, I think, is might have watched season 2, but I definitely watched season 1 of the show on HBO.
Show's good.
Yeah.
I want to watch more of it. It's got the chick that played X-23. She's in there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the main character.
Yeah. All right, so chapter 6.
She probably would have been a good lift back in the day. She's probably too old now, but
Yeah. Yeah, she could have been a good lift.
Who now would be good?
Kids. I don't know, kids.
Yeah.
Actors.
Yeah, kid actors. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of a kid actor too. What about Bella Ramsey? Is she too old?
She's way
I
too
think
old.
she's too old. Yeah.
Okay.
She's like 20 something.
Yeah.
She still looks like a kid. I mean, she plays
Yeah.
the girl in Last of Us.
Yeah.
You need like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Maybe like a 12-year-old.
We'll get Nora to do it.
I don't really follow like 10-year-old girls, so
Yeah. Nope. And I am backing out of this podcast now. Goodbye.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
All right.
Can you blur my face the whole time? Like,
Darken your deepen your voice too.
yeah.
I'll turn the name tags on still so it does just right. But your face is blurred and you got a deeper voice. All right, chapter 6. All right, so Lift finds an urchin who's got a strange dialect. Doesn't seem like, I mean, obviously most urchins don't have a lot of education. So this one kind of reminds me of Spook from Mistborn, Justin.
Yeah.
Not the same speaking pattern, but just whatever. So this urchin she meets tells her to go to Tashi's Light Orphanage for food. It's ran by a lady named the Stump. She's known for being mean, but gives away food, supposedly to look good to the officials, so she doesn't like get investigated and all this stuff. So Lift arrives and knocks on the door. The door is answered by an odd-looking youth. And then a young boy is dropped off at the front door by his mother. He's got like scars. He looks sickly, not very intelligent. and the mom's like drops her off and walks away. I put in a quote, an idiot and an opportunist. I think that's what Stump called Lift. The I believe that's what that is, but I'm not quite sure. So the Stump takes in the boy and promises 3 meals to Lift. Then later on, we do find out, I think it's in the next chapter, it might have been at the end of this chapter, that the Stump thinks the boy is faking. But we learn later on in the book that she thought every kid was faking, but she didn't realize that she was healing these kids. Then we meet an old man for the first time outside after Stump closes the door, and he says that Stump takes in dun spheres and gives back infused spheres.
Right. Wasn't it the opposite? She takes in infused spears and pays more, like she has a lot more dun spears, and will like pay for infused spheres, like maybe like a higher rate for infused spheres with dun spheres. Like she's draining spheres because she's a radiant. She just doesn't know it.
You see, I thought that too, but when I kept reading, I kept thinking, you might very well be correct. I thought it was odd the way I just mentioned it, but
yeah,
I was almost sure she was taking, because they were saying she was giving something more valuable back. She was taking in less and giving back more.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like
But,
money laundering.
Right.
Yeah, but it's like
that's what they think, but it's not
if you
necessarily.
give me 3 infused spheres, I'm gonna give you 4 dun spheres. So I'm paying more for infused spheres with dun spheres. So it sounds like she's doing some kind of.
I don't know if she's. I can't remember because she doesn't know she's a radiant.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't know she's a radiant. She's just I think they used to light up stuff like that.
Yeah.
But she knows to go upstairs and infuse them in the high storm.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's cool because she puts it on the and they put them all on their roof, which is literally just the ground because they're all in caverns and stuff. So when they climb, like when you climb up to the roof, you're just like, wait a minute, screw it, I'm just outside on top of the city, like outside the city. What the? It's kind of cool. That'd be like really cool to like if ever as a video game, I would just be exploring inside the city, and then all of a sudden you just pop out, and you're like, oh yeah, let me get back into that.
yeah.
So when did you figure out she was the radiant? When it's revealed, or like did you figure out before?
So at this point, I was like, aha! Brandon Sanderson is trying to make me think she's the Radiant because she really wants infused spheres. But I know that she's not the Radiant because it wouldn't make sense to make her the Radiant after giving the guard the point of view. The guard is the Radiant, and she is just a red herring trying to make us look that direction. I figured it out. I'm smart. I know.
I thought the injured kid was the radiant because he was healing with Stormlight over time.
Well, that's clever.
I can't remember who I thought was the Radiant the first time I read it. This time the only thing I remembered about this book coming into the reread was that there was an old lady who was a Radiant, and like my mind, I misremembered it, but my mind was like, there's an old lady who abuses children and is a Radiant. But so when I met the Stump, I was like,
she's Radiant.
yeah, I met the Stump, and I was like, oh yeah, it's her.
I knew it wasn't the old man because there was an old man. I was like, who the hell is this old man? I totally forgot about him.
Yeah,
then he turns out to be a crab man.
I thought it could have been Hoyd, like at first, because I didn't remember anything about him. But yeah, he shows up. He tells her about the sphere trading, and then asks Lift like, why body part would you think you are? And she's like, sometimes I think I'm a nose because you get all sorts of stuff stuck up in there and stuff falls out when you don't want it to. I'm like,
Okay. He's like,
Oh,
what if we were all Borg? Because I'm a giant crab man. And what if everybody was a giant crab man? Resistance is futile. He hasn't done that yet. I mean, it's book 5 when the Borg show up and start assimilating everybody. When the crab Borg show up. Sorry to spoil that.
God dang it, Justin. We're supposed to not spoil future books. We know
this is
you've traveled into the future and read all 68 books of the Cosmere.
Yeah. Yeah. About 40 of them are about the crab Borg, the sleepless, and how they just want everybody to be crabs. That's why they went to Roshar in the first place.
Yeah, and
Their shard blades are giant crab claws.
can you imagine having shard scissors?
I mean, you could. I mean, y'all don't play League of Legends, but Gwen is a character in it, and she uses giant scissors to kill people. So you could have giant scissor shard blade. It'd be cool. I mean, I think it's kind of like the Green Lantern. It just whatever you think of appears as the shard blade.
Absolutely. So, question here. Lift mentions how odd it is that people take their money and put holes in it and put it on string and wear it around. So it's obviously jewelry, necklaces, bracelets. Do you think they're actual spheres that are on these things that hold Stormlight, or does she just is that what? Excuse me. She associates the shape and the look with spheres and thinks it's.
I mean, I could see it being spheres. I mean, we have like gems and stuff in our jewelry.
And like the city is tight on top of each other, so it might just be like a common practice to like counter pickpockets. Like if all my spheres are on a string and they're all attached to each other, like you're not going to be able to just walk by and take them. You might be able to walk by and cut the string, but then to just start falling. I know it's happening, like it's like you can't just like walk by and grab my pouch or something.
I will say it would be really annoying to have a necklace that's just constantly lit up. So I don't know if I would want to wear that. It's like
you obviously have never been to a rave.
Yeah. You're just getting blinded all day.
Yeah.
They didn't tell you that there's always like electronica dance music playing, just trance nonstop.
They save that for the movie.
Lift could move to trance music. Just
He is an edge dancer.
So if Lift, speaking of that, if she has her surge on, her anti-friction surge on, and she immediately turns it off, does she come to a complete stop? And if she's going like at 60 miles an hour, does she just like fall flat on her face?
Yeah, because like when they have it in there, like when she's going and she's just trying to do it on her feet, if she hits something and starts tumbling, she just.
I mean, you still have momentum, right? So you wouldn't like.
Right, but the rest of your body would have the momentum, but the ground now you have something friction to make you stop, and so your bottom stops. It's like if you were riding in a car and it's going 60 and it hits something and you go flying out the window.
Yeah, you'd probably instantly die.
Yeah.
Like she would have all the like good thing she can do, Stormlight.
Yeah, she can heal
she'd have
herself.
all the whiplash.
Yeah, because I know like recently I went to the mountains and I was running up and down the mountains, and I'll tell you the most terrifying thing was I decided to I was going down this really steep incline. And I was like, you know what? I'm going downhill. I just want to see how fast I can go. And I just tried to, I just started sprinting. And about halfway through it, I realized, okay, I'm going too fast and I'm about to start rolling down the hill. And I'm also going so fast that I can't stop, because if I try stopping, I'm going to go roll downhill. So I literally had to like go brush myself up against the side of the mountain, like catch on to something and stop. Like it was terrifying. So yeah, like
I'm glad you're
she's
still with us, Chris.
speed and
Yeah.
if she's going full speed and she just turns loses the frictionless, yeah, she's gonna tumble. Even if she can try to catch herself, like, oh no, she's gonna flip.
Yeah.
Now a better question is, I wonder how much propulsion she could get if she really wanted to. Like if she, let's say she did the frictionless, but she learned to, like, I don't know, like have like almost like a paraglider, and she just grabbed on like it was really windy out in the desert, and she was like, okay, my legs are frictionless, boom, paraglider, and just like hold on to it and just like ski across the desert or something.
Can
That's
she
cool as hell.
make things she touches frictionless? Or does it have to be her skin?
She would throw the sickest baseball.
What if Kaladin lashes her and then she turns frictionless in the air and she just soars forever?
Are you wait? If she does it with her fork in front of her, you could use that as like a lift spear.
Yeah,
Like how
just,
like
just like she's just like a railgun.
Now,
Right.
we
need a fastball special with Kaladin and Lift.
What if Kaladin or Lopin sticks Lift to the wall, and then she turns on her frictionless? Does that negate the lashing?
I think she'll be stuck like gravity wise to the wall, but there's no friction, so she can just move on that plane as much as she wants. She's like, all right, I'm here, but I'm just sideways now.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
Hypothetically, she would just absorb there.
Seth stuck people to the wall in a manner that they couldn't move. So, like, if you stuck, like, instead of sticking their feet, like, lash their back to the wall, that's the gravity is from their back to the wall, right? Not their feet to the wall.
Well, she would just absorb the lashing. Like Kaladin can just zoom. All right, I'm no longer lashed.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna steal your food.
Chapter 7.
Chapter 7.
7.
She would still rock stew.
Oh,
That's what would happen. She's gonna show up to the camp. They're gonna be eating something, and they're gonna there's gonna be some commotion happen, and they're all gonna go to it for like when it's almost time for evening dinner. And when they come back, the stew's gonna be gone.
of course, and she's gonna be glowing like crazy. And she's like, nope.
Yeah, because she ate a stew for like 40 people. I have all the power.
Lift, did you eat the stew?
No.
No. Glowing intensifies.
The glowing intensifies.
All right, so chapter 7, Lift figures that Stump is a money launderer based on the information that Arklo, the old man outside, tells her. She decides to head back to the guard post of which she entered from. Follows the captain home, has Wendell watch for anybody leaving or coming while she sleeps. This reminds me so much of our D&D session on Thursday, where we were trying to figure out, in a party of 5 people where 3 or 4 don't have to sleep, who's taking watch.
You're so high level in D&D, most of us don't eat, sleep, or breathe.
It's like, who's taking watch? I don't know. Like, I don't have to do anything. I can just
I don't need to eat or sleep. And like the couple mortals in there are just like, well, I still have to eat and sleep.
Yeah.
I can't go into the poison cloud.
Unfortunately for y'all, the rules still say you have to rest. So
Yeah.
it gets a little weird with that.
Yeah.
So she falls asleep for a little bit. Wendell wakes her up because he saw darkness or Nail entering into the house. Lift listens in on the conversation and finds out that the captain is giving darkness information and descriptions that match Lift. And yeah, so that's what. Not much happens in this chapter. There was a description of an animal. It kind of, I thought it gives, or a strange little horse, shaggy and white, and it had horns on its head. I'm thinking a goat.
That fits it.
So
Yeah. A shaggy goat.
yeah. So yeah, here we find out that okay, this is where the conflict is going to start again between Darkness and Lift. Lift learns that Darkness is aware that Lift is in town now.
Every time I hear darkness, I just think of the Chappelle show. Darkness.
I don't catch the reference.
You watch Chappelle show?
I've watched some episodes.
It's I think Charlie Murphy's Darkness. It's really funny. He does a really funny rendition of that word.
Any other information here on this
I get
chapter?
Batman, who's just like darkness, no parents.
No, this is kind of a chapter where the plot starts to happen, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. No more
However,
world building.
This one confirmed my you thought you were gonna trick me thinking it was the orphan lady, but no, it's definitely the guard captain who's the Radiant. Because we're back with her, so obviously it's her.
But Darkness would have known.
Would he have? See, I thought he visited her just to see if she knew what she was yet.
Possible.
Well, obviously it doesn't matter that there's radiance. It's just that they're not. So if she was like a Stormbreaker or whatever, he'd be fine with it because he's a hypocrite.
Skype.
Skype, whatever.
Yeah.
So
True.
because it doesn't really matter that there's radiance
Yeah.
because it's almost like his.
I have a theory, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But chapter 8, kind of just advance here.
Yeah.
So Lift trails Nail to a market where there's another urchin that gets caught stealing food, and Nail kills her with his shard blade just in front of everybody, not giving a care that he just murdered some poor kid in front of everybody. After he runs off, Lift goes and tries to revive the urchin who is named. Her name is Tika. She tries to revive her like she did with Gox, but finds out it's been too long and she doesn't have enough Stormlight, and that she was killed by a shard blade, so it's a little different than how Gox was killed. Wendell suggests that healing or bringing back from the dead if killed by a shard blade could be a possibility with more ideals spoken. And then Lift follows Nail to a cistern and loses him in the crowd, but then catches back up to him and follows him to his house or his hideout. And she sneaks in through a window and makes her way to Lift's room where she eats his hospital breakfast. Yeah, so I want to talk about Nail for a second, or Darkness. Obviously, if it was D&D, he'd be a lawful character, right?
Yeah.
And probably a paladin. It has a code. His use of deception here is very interesting, like considering how lawful he is, and he just kind of uses a lot of deception. Like, well, no, I mean, this kind of fits here, and he kind of uses it for his own, as opposed to having a, I guess he interprets his own law instead of it actually being a concrete law.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like,
like whatever authority gives that, because he respects, king of the Emperor Aesir and stuff. I don't know. He's really weird. And he's obviously insane. I have a question for you.
Yep.
So the heralds exist. They have existed for thousands of years on this thing. They've been through multiple desolations, right? So they know the whole trick that the Parshendi are the Voidbringers, right?
Yeah.
And there's 9 of them that are still around. Probably we've only met 2, and one of us was in hell or whatever. So I have a question: why are there still Parshmen in this world? Like, I don't. Obviously, genocide's bad, right? You can get that way. But why are they still around? If every cycle they go back to slave form and stuff like that, why are there any still around?
well, do we know for sure that every cycle they go back to slave form? I thought it was.
Or even this cycle.
I thought the whole thing was every desolation was Spren of Odium doing things.
Yeah, they
And
go into the
yeah,
Parshmen.
yes, when they can take over the Parshmen and do things, but they can also. It sounds like that wasn't the only thing the desolation was.
Sure, they're not all like, we know Thunderclaps and stuff exist, but it seems like the majority of their shock troops, like the orcs of this thing, have always been the Parshendi. At least 2 desolations, because this desolation and last desolation, right?
Yeah.
So we know that. It's just curious, because it seems like a much better plan, even though very, very dark. But what he's doing is dark. Instead of just killing the Radiants as they come around for like 1,000 years, just wipe out all their Parshmen, and you're kind of good.
Well,
Like, it's a horrible thing. I'm not suggesting it's a good thing. It's just the most logical thing to do.
well, think about like the orcs and like Sauron. You say like they're like the orcs. Well, if the orcs denounced Sauron and then threw away their weapons and figured out a way where they don't even know how to hold weapons, they literally make it so they cannot hold weapons. You wouldn't
Yes.
think of them as a
If
threat.
if they did that 4,000 times, like the desolations have been happening for
But it doesn't.
cycles and cycles, the gods of that world would be like, oh, fool me 40 times, maybe we should get rid of these people. And it's very easy because they don't have any intelligence. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just curious why that hasn't happened. Maybe it will show up and like be answered.
Well, I mean, with this desolation for sure, they left, and I mean, after every desolation, the heralds left Roshar. They were no longer on Roshar. They went,
and then they popped back to the next session. Oh, the Parshendi are being odiumized again, huh? And then this time they've been here for 4,000 years, right, or however long since the Recreants and Last Desolation, which is a long time.
You know what? Maybe you hit it. Maybe you hit it on the head right there. Theory. I have no idea if this is true or not, but theory. Maybe when they didn't go back to hell and the 9 of them stayed out, they were the reason the Parshmen went to slave form. Maybe the Parshmen the Parshendi between the other desolations didn't necessarily go to Parshmen. They just went to some other form, maybe dull form, maybe something else. But like, they were like, no, we're either, we're going to somehow force them all into Parshmen forms, or they want to stop it also. So we're going to help do this. So they basically converted all of them into mindless drones, or helped convert them into.
I also don't think there's anything inherent about Parshmen themselves or the Parshendi themselves that lends them to be corrupted by odium more than humans.
Yes,
Mhm.
they change by getting sprints, and they get odium sprints with the Everstorm. That's how they become Voidbringers.
Right, but
So that's way like humans
I-
don't take in sprints.
but
so
I
they-
don't think I think if the Parshindi were to completely be eradicated and Odium himself still exists, Odium would still be able to corrupt something else and create
Sure,
Odium.
but we
Right?
also know the desolation happens because the Parshmen summon the Everstorm again, and the Everstorm probably has happened. All the other desolation. That's the start of the desolation, right? Is when the Everstorm happens. I don't know. It's just a thought I had because his plan is to just kill Radiant, so they don't form the Knights Radiant, so the Everstorm doesn't happen and desolations don't happen. But he didn't pay attention to the side of the world where they were fighting the Voidbringers, which he knows of what they are, and have Radiance over there. I don't know why Nail's not over there killing Dalinar and all of them, if that was his plan. Nail's plan just is very weird. It doesn't make sense. Either he would have stopped it by doing like the worst thing in the world, which is genocide, or he would have like killed Dalinar of them as well. Or I don't know. He's just weird. He's just going around and be like, you broke the law and you happen to be a Radiant. Dead. This is totally gonna stop the Everstorm. Oh wait, it just happened because I wasn't paying attention to the place where the Parshendi, the Voidbringers are, and the Radiants are there.
But
oh well, I guess I'm gonna go away now.
But he does mention it himself that
Acknowledge.
the ones that are still on Roshar were ones that never experienced the power of the old gods and the old forms, and somehow Odium had been at the end of the last desolation. Odium was cut off from power somewhere.
Yeah.
So I
He
get
also
what
knows
you're
that
saying, but
Honor is dead.
they felt that it was blocked off. The ability for this to happen.
Then why is he killing the Knights Radiant?
Because if the Knights Radiant came back, then they would summon back the other Odium Sprint. They would find a way to release the Odium Sprint as well.
Yeah. By
Basically,
having
almost like for balance.
By having the Voidbringers come back, which is what happens, and he's not over in Alec in the Shadow.
Well, he doesn't think that's the real Voidbringer. He's like, that's not it. That's just a little incident.
Yeah.
People are saying it's a desolation, but that's not the real desolation. The real desolation will come about, and you'll know it'll come about, and it'll come about after the Radiance appear. So we got to stop the Radiance from appearing.
Yeah,
Let's not get sidetracked by this little fake thing.
And I shouldn't kill the guy who's trying to bring back the Knights Radiant, who's very open about it. And I probably have spies all over the world. Oops. I don't know. He's just, and it's fine, like if it's just like he's crazy and stupid, which he clearly is. It's just his plan. Denial. His plan makes he's Nihil in denial.
Yeah, he is deep in denial.
And like I wonder what the other 8 heralds are doing. I don't know. It was just a thought I had. It's fine. Like I kind of wish the heralds weren't in this, and it was just they went off to other worlds. Maybe all the other 8 have, because they just have the information that could have stopped this, and they just didn't, which is weird. Or they could have like for thousands of years built up like all the different cities to like know about what was coming and desolate signs of the desolation and blah blah, because like they had the Vorinism worship the heralds. They could have like stopped it if they really cared, but they don't care.
If we go back to the prelude in book 1, their agreement was if they all go back to hell, then that starts the cycle over again. So they agreed that 9 would stay and they would betray 1.
Yeah.
And that 1 would be trapped, and due to that the cycle would not repeat. So they thought whatever they were doing
still makes no sense.
Is not going to have, well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to make sense, but to them it was, we do this thing and this never happens again. by whatever agreement there was. Now, obviously, with the return of Talanat from Hell, now all 10 are on Roshar again. So the binding of their agreement is broken.
Do we know how many desolation cycles there were? There has to be at least.
I don't know. There's a lot. I don't think you put
The desolations also kind of don't make much sense, unless this world is like millions of years old.
it's old.
It's old, but like I don't know. It's weird. It's just his plan. I wish was just better, because he's like one of the 5 secret societies. His plan's bad.
I'm fine with it because it's simple and it fits the idea of there is this tortured character who literally, like, he, infinite eons ago sacrificed his life with a bunch of other people with truly noble intents. I am going to be tortured the rest of all existence in order to save everyone. And then after who knows how long being tortured in hell, he's like, I just can't do this. I'm broken. I can't do this. And at that point, he is broken. He's not about
That's not
sacrificing to save anybody.
that's not him though.
No, he's one of the 9 that breaks. Like, that's kind of like the idea is like they all step away. They say,
they
"I
don't
can't
they
go
don't want to
back.
go back to hell again.
I can't go back." And like that's like how the prelude on the first book is. Like, so you have this person who is terrified, like truly on a
3,000 years.
on a like in his core terrified of the idea of a desolation or going back to hell at least.
I think it was 4,000 years. The prelude, I think, was 4,000 years before
Yeah.
the current one.
4,500 years.
And like he's probably seeing signs that something's happening, and he is just doing everything in his power. He's like, okay, I need this to stop. 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 Okay, no. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's happening. What can I do? Okay. Let's just stop the radius. If they don't come back, then the Voidbringers don't come back. Then I don't have to go back there. Let's just solve this. Let's just stop the radiance. And that's like, it's not here's a perfectly mental sound somebody with a goal in mind trying to do this goal as logically as possible. It is a dude that is not in his right mind state, in denial, panicking.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that is his plan. And the fact
he
that
has
the plan
lived
is
for
so simple.
4,500 years. I don't know. It's just weird.
That's just this.
But also, if that was his goal, he would have killed Dalinar and all of them as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun. Maybe he thought.
Honestly, he might be keeping a heavy eye on Dalinar in his group, waiting for signs of radiance to appear over there. Like being like, oh, that's a beacon. I can, let me clean up these over here and I'll work my way over there. And when he gets a lot over there, I'll go kill them all.
He has an entire order, so it should have been like 4 of them just show up floating from the sky.
Here's the theory I was mentioning. I said I had earlier, and right now is a good place to put it in because we're talking about Nail. So we've only seen Nail killing Edgedancers. So the Edgedancer's ideal is to remember those who were forgotten. So maybe he's super focused on Edgedancers because if they remember those that were forgotten, then they'll remember all the Radiance, they'll remember all the Voidbringers, they'll remember all the knowledge on how to bring back the Voidbringers and bring back Odium and start everything back over again.
Yeah, man. But the Stump is not an Edgedancer, right?
I feel like she is.
She has healing. I thought she had a different sprint.
Something else.
Yeah.
She might be something different, but
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I don't know. It was just kind of weird. It doesn't break anything. I just wish it was a little, and maybe it'll get more thought out. But it was just thoughts that I was like, and hopefully the other 8, if they're actually gonna show up and be interesting, which maybe they're off world or something. I don't know. It's interesting. I just don't really know where it's going. and now we're getting more like god level characters with the Crabman and stuff. It's a little not quite jumping the shark level of it for me, but it's getting there with all these different gods and stuff, which is it's fine. It's just a little weird.
Yeah.
The
All right,
the Crabman really threw me. I was like, what the hell is going on? We have like a Crabman that's like immortal, and okay, sure.
He's
We'll
Like,
get
a
to him in a
swarm
bit.
of crabs.
yes,
A swarm of crabs is different than a crab man.
it's worse. It's worse.
Oh yeah, it's way more insane.
It's like a hive mind crab dude that can
Yes.
form into the body of a human. He's like, "What's up? I'm a sleepless man." And remember Axie the Collector? What's up? I'm like, okay, all right, dude, sure. This world is very much weirder than I thought it was.
Yeah. We'll get to him, and
Alright.
remind me later when we talk about him and Axes, because I told Chris I have a theory.
Alright.
So the rest of this chapter, our pancake count goes up to 4. She eats a salty one with chopped up veggies. She eats a sweet one and a fluffy one with syrup. I'm guessing it's syrup. It was something to dip in. And Wendell is still trying to convince Lift to speak more words, but then also leave Nail alone and let's go be a farmer somewhere and be safe. Let's stop jumping into this craziness here.
Yeah, Wendell really reminds me of like C-3PO. He's very much like R2, come back here. No, R2. And I really vision him having like a British accent.
Yeah, so like Alfred.
Yeah.
All right,
Master Wayne.
I like C-3PO. That's a
that's a good one. Chapter 9. So this is where Lift is listening in on the Skybreakers conversation. We have 2 initiates into the order that are trying to earn the trust of a Spren. They, spoiler alert, they do not. They end up dying. The crab guy kills them.
I wish we could have saw that fight.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. Seth has a disagreement with Nail over whether or not the Voidbringers have returned. Nail is like, no, he's in denial. Seth's like, hey, they have. And so I mentioned on last episode at the end of the book too that I feel like there's going to be a redemption arc for Seth. And Justin was like, no, I don't think there's any coming back from what he did, but I think it's been there the entire time because any point of view with Seth we have, he does not want to do, like, he feels like he's been gaslit into believing that the Voidbringers and the Radiants have not returned, and his punishment for speaking a lie was to be beholden to an oath stone and do the bidding of anybody that has his stone. And of course, he had the honor blade.
I'll say this: if we can redeem Darth Vader, who killed like 30 kids in cold blood, you can redeem anyone. But like, he's killed like thousands of people. Like, no, he's not redeemable.
But there's a magical oath that's binding him.
I don't think it's magical.
I think it's magical.
The oath stone. I'm pretty sure the oath stone.
Because Nail says in book 2, he's like, you could have stopped at any time, but you hold your like to laws so good that you don't.
Because his belief, like he
believed he was truthless and then killed everyone.
He has been gaslit to the point where he believes that he truly believes at this point that he told a lie. Yeah. And that they have not returned because there is no other evidence.
Yeah, that's why he obeyed the oath stone. Yeah,
right.
I don't think it's magical. I thought it was for a while because he whines a bunch about not wanting to kill people, but then he enjoys killing people. But like Niall says, the reason I brought you back is you were such a good like cop, basically, and believed in laws that you would follow them even though you would just follow orders, even though you hated all the Shin people. And that's
I
why I
still think it's
resurrected
magic.
you.
I
The
still
reason
think it's magic.
the reason I don't think it's magic is every time the Oath Stone was brought up with him, like every time he obeyed it, like even like think about the times where he went into the room like that, whereas the criminal was having him go break into people's places and kill them, and he broke into that room and it was like, oh, you know, I already killed him, and then he throws out the Oath Stone. He doesn't recognize the presence of his Oath Stone, nor does he recognize the person holding his Oath Stone until the person shows him that he has his Oath Stone. If it was magic, it would be like there would be something in there to hint at that, like, oh, he moves to strike the person and he feels like he can't move his arm. Why not? As the person turns and shows the Oath Stone, something like that, you know, something to reveal that it's more than just you have my Oath Stone, I'm gonna listen to what you say. There'd be something more, and there isn't. In fact, it goes out of the way to show that every time it reveals, like even when he goes to kill
Taravangian.
Taravangian, yeah, like Taravangian is like, you need to speak to me first, and when you speak to me, I'm going to show you my Oath Stone. You know,
Yeah.
because otherwise there'd be something else to reveal, like, oh, he has his Oath Stone, and Seth can't do it.
Like
That's
I think they're probably gonna give him a redemption arc because
oh yeah,
he's gonna be the leader of the Skybreakers. I got it right this time, I think. So like he's gonna be the leader. He's gonna go to Earther or something and be like, Dalinar, I got like 100 dudes because this Herald's been doing stuff. And like so like he's probably gonna get it. He's gonna be like the Zuko or something.
he's gonna be the Vegeta.
Or the
I think I already
Vegeta.
reached that reference, but still,
Yeah, at least Vegeta. He only killed like most of their friends. So
yeah.
like yeah, it was bad, but like he didn't kill like the entire planet and
I'm
so
sure
all
he
the
killed other planets.
he did kill a lot of
He's
planets,
killed plenty of planets.
but not Earth.
Vegeta has.
I mean, yeah, Vegeta's evil as hell. But
Yeah.
He killed Yamcha, so he's okay. We forgive him.
What's
No, I
funny?
mean,
I can't remember actual Dragon Ball Z. All I can remember is Dragon Ball Z Abridged, which is basically the same but slightly different in some of the deaths.
yeah,
Like,
like we have a very easy tolerance of redeeming people that should not be redeemed. It's kind of weird, but it's fun to do. It's fun to have like, oh, the bad guy is now the good guy. Like basically every story has that.
relative.
Every anime has that. It's like literally the first arc villain is gonna be like maybe the second main character. So like he's definitely gonna be a good guy. But whether or not he should be redeemed is up to you.
I like him. I like him. So.
Yeah, I mean he's I don't know. I want more of him to be an actual character. Because right now he's just kind of the assassin and why he just kills people and then whines about it.
Yeah. So yeah, Nail also reveals, so in this conversation that's overheard, Nail reveals that he's been in contact with Ishar, who's another one of the heralds. So doesn't quite give a whole lot of details on that. But we know that they are assuming there's quite a few that are aware of what's everything that's happening. So we should start getting more involvement, and we've probably seen, if I had to guess, we've probably seen at least half of the heralds on screen somewhere and not even recognize it.
Yeah,
Yet.
I'm still holding out my theory that Zio was a herald.
You okay?
That's my theory. Because he's something. Maybe he's a crab man.
Okay. I cannot speak on that subject.
That's fine. But yeah, that's my thing. Other than that, I'm trying to think who else that we met would be a herald.
I will let you have that prediction.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Yeah. I'm allowed to have a prediction. Sadius was a herald. Oops. He's dead.
Oh, he's dead.
I was so happy
Yeah.
I feel like some of the people in the interludes might be.
That random lady is the Herald, who still has not shown back up.
The one that
Hopefully, the face,
the faces art.
Yeah.
I could see that one.
I've been waiting for her to be relevant. That has not happened yet.
Yeah. Well, maybe she'll. Now she's not the one that wanted to go see the Night Watcher. It was the two guys, right?
Yeah, it was the two guys.
Yeah. So, overall, I did like this chapter. It clearly lays out Nail's beliefs and the mission of the Skybreakers. So we're no longer wondering why is this guy hunting Surge Binders and Radiance, and we absolutely know what the Skybreakers do.
They
So
break
good.
the sky.
Good information. We'll move on to chapter 10. And Lift returns to the orphanage because she figures that the initiates are going after the stump. She figures out that she thinks the stump is probably the other
Radiant.
Surge Binder or Radiant.
Oh,
Or at least somebody at the orphanage, right?
I think he skipped some stuff, right?
No, like chapter 10, she goes back to the orphanage. That's when
Yeah.
she finds a kid outside, or the kid from the day before that's
Right.
going back.
Yeah.
I haven't skipped anything.
Okay.
She goes back to the orphanage, finds the kids playing in the amphitheater, but she goes back because there was the conversation she overheard with the initiates and Nail, and the initiates looking into finding a Surge Binder, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't get that she was like, oh, it's the stump. I just thought she went back to get some food, and
That's kind of what I thought too.
because we find out later, like a couple of chapters from now, when like the big battle is gonna happen, that like she figures out what's going on. But
Okay,
maybe
I may be projecting that prediction into this chapter.
Yeah, because I feel like she just goes back for food because later on she still is trying to figure out who the Radiant is, hence her breaking into like the Central Intelligence and
yeah.
See, that's a disadvantage of reading the entire work and then discussing it chapter by chapter, is you don't remember what you thought when you got to that certain point.
yeah. I remember at that point I was still very convinced it was the guard.
Okay. So anyway, she returns and finds the kids playing in the amphitheater, with some of the older folks sitting and watching. She gets her second meal, 3 that were promised. Wendell starts talking to her again, asking her what she wants. She deflects and complains that the Night Watcher didn't keep her from changing. So and obviously it seems that the Night Watcher doesn't necessarily give you what you think you're asking for.
Yeah.
I can't remember. There's something else where you ask for something and you have to be very particular in your wording of it.
Like a genie.
Yeah. And so she's like, man, I asked for me not to change, but it looks like I'm changing still. The little boy, we get, his name is Mick. He's the one that showed up, was dropped off the night before. He's there. He's better. Like, he actually talks. He's less injured looking, and she like eats half of her food and gives him the rest. And he asks if they're friends, and she's like, no, I think she says no. The stump brings the children. I hate it when I do it, by the way. The stump brings all the children inside. The old people, except for the old man, the crab man, they all leave. So it's old people just like to come and watch the young orphan children play. And Lift asked the old man how he knew what he was meant for. So she gets into a philosophical question with him. And again, or no, never mind. But yeah, this chapter is interesting because Lift, we see more of Lift's struggle. Like she's really struggling with what her purpose is, and her mind doesn't seem to be maturing at a maturing level. So like maybe her mind is stuck at a certain level. So like her intelligence is unchanging, but her body is definitely growing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like whatever magic the old magic has is kind of not indefinite, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think
Maybe it has.
what she granted her as a boon is what Lift understands it as.
Yeah.
So I think Lift literal, like she was expecting to literally not change at all. And what she got is something different. And I wonder what her curse is too.
Isn't her curse the stomach stuff? Or she's like partly in the cognitive realm?
I don't know why that would be a curse.
Yeah,
I don't know how it's affecting her, but
Yeah. I
so
also don't have I can't remember any evidence of Lift being able to absorb stormlight from a sphere. So I think the only way she can get stormlight right now that I've seen is from eating food.
I don't know if she's tried, but also she might not be able to.
Yeah, we haven't seen her do it for one. And I don't think I've seen her try. So that's why I believe the only way she can access stormlight is through food.
So that could be your curse, the ingesting of food, and that could also be how she's like staying young or whatever. The being in the cognitive realm is like, but now she's like thinking about changing, so she's starting to change or something because she's in the cognitive realm. And before she was like, just thinking about like I'm just gonna stay the same. That's how she was able to just be a child for so long. Maybe I don't know. It's possible.
I will say at this point, like during her conversations, I remember feeling not so much that she's growing, but like the conversation with the old man that up and like she wants to be a kid. She, like you said, she's Peter Pan. She doesn't want to grow up. She wants to be a kid, but she can't help that she does have motives that are more than a childlike motive. Even from the beginning, she has motives that are more than just a childlike motive. But she almost doesn't want to say those. Like she's just like, I'm here to eat lunch. I'm here to. But you start to like at this point break down and say, oh no, she does have these thoughts. She does have these feelings. She has these questions. She has her real true motives being here, her real true goals, like what she wants out of life. And she's almost like, I wouldn't say she wants to pretend that she doesn't have that she's not deep. She wants to pretend that she's a kid. If that makes sense. Like, and you're starting to see like, oh no, it's not that she's a kid, it's that she wants to be a kid and she's trying as hard as she can to stay in that mentality, but she's not able to because that's not who she really is.
Yeah. And she also has a cultivation spren, so that could maybe be counteracting the old magic.
I bet at first she didn't like him, but he's really growing on her now.
Because I don't think she had him when obviously didn't have him when she went visit the Night Mother. So
no, because he even brought up like the Night Mother sent him after that.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's weird.
So we'll move on to chapter 11. Hey, it's a Lift chapter again.
What?
How about that? Um, short chapter. Wendell tries again to, probably for the third or fourth time, explain to Lift that she has more words to say, and hints that if she says them, she'll get a shard blade. And Lift's next mission for the chapter, or not the chapter, the rest of the book, is to rescue the other Surge Binder. There's a lady that points Lift to the direction of the Grand Indicium, which is like a library. And I really like Lift's ignorance towards Wendell's insistence on finding more words. It's like the comic relief, basically, of the book, because you're like, as the reader, you're like, okay, she's gonna be growing, she's going to get some power, she's gonna have a fight with Nail at the end of this, and Wendell's like, you're not quite prepared yet, you still have more to do, and she like brushes him off almost the entire time, which is just hilarious.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's that chapter to me. I don't have much more to talk about on there.
Yeah, it's the number another like filler chapter. She's now going to the library.
Yeah.
To basically get information about the Surge Binder.
Yeah. All right.
What happens next chapter?
Next chapter, short chapter again. She makes her way to the Grand Indicium. So in the interlude, she thought the caps of the palace looked like boobies. Here, she thinks the Grand Indicium, the dome, looks like the tip of a penis. So she's on par for our maturity level, right?
This is why it's the best book.
Yes.
The palace looks like boobs. The information center looks like a tip of a penis.
Yeah. That's where all the information is stored, right?
That's where the 0.5 and the 6.5 came from.
It's just the tip.
Yeah.
She's going there looking for a tip.
You see, 6 was the price for the book, but the tip was 0.5, and that came from penis. All right, she comes up with a plan that Wendell will read all the books and figure out where Nail is heading. She does not understand how books work. Wendell is not Johnny Five from Short Circuit.
Yeah.
He is not going to take input in that quickly. So he's like, no, that's not going to work. We got to do something else. And we'll move on to chapter 13.
Yeah.
Great. We're moving along. The second half is not a half, right? It's like anytime you cut a cookie or something and your kid's like, I want the bigger half. It's not a half. All right. So chapter 13 takes place inside of the Grand Indicium. Lift enters the Indicium wearing Asian clothing. No, Asish clothing. I got victimized by autocorrect again. Asish clothing that she took off of clothing lines outside in the city. And they're very eclectic and don't seem to match. So she sticks out like crazily. She finds an overweight scribe and tries to get her to write a message to the palace in Aesir. The scribe recognizes her and goes and gets the guards. And while that's happening, Wendell assists Lift in writing a message on the span reed to Aesir. Wendell's pretty cool in this. He forms himself in letters, so Lift can just copy what she sees, because she can't read.
Yeah.
If she would have stayed in Aesir, she would have learned how to read and write. So the scribe comes back with the guards to arrest Lift, and right as they're getting arrested, Gawks is like the span read is Gawks returning a message. Apparently Tashik is under the Empire per se. And this is the chapter where I actually remembered that Tashik is that information epicenter that we learned about from
That girl.
10.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah.
10 and Shalon. So when I realized that, I was like, oh, this makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
And as she's running away from the guards, all I could think of was, holy crap, if she just destroys everything here, like she could have easily destroyed what is essentially the world's satellite communications.
It's the cloud.
Yeah, she would have taken down the internet, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't have all of the information stored there, but it is like everything goes through. It's like that.
It's a hub, like a
Yeah.
telephone operator hub
Yeah.
that also records the information.
Oh yeah, they record anything that comes through. It's like you have no secrets.
I like this chapter and the next few chapters and like the way this plays out. Like, she gets in there. I mean, I could spoil in the next few chapters, but that she gets in there, she gets in a little bit of trouble, and she is like, wait, no, send that to my friend, the Emperor. I swear I'm okay. Running from the guards, and they're like, wait a minute, oh crap, she actually is. She just sits back and they, it's like, all right, this is
It's like I'm friends with the Emperor.
ha,
What?
okay. Mhm.
Yeah, it is the start of the action, if you will.
Yeah.
It's the end game.
Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. We can move on to chapter 14.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get my cup out of the way.
But yeah, the Empire is interesting because it seems more like a conglomeration of states instead of like one big country. Like almost like the Soviet Union or something. Or
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like Azers. It was fun.
Yeah.
Too
All right.
bad they're gonna get decimated.
True. All right, so inside, Lift is now eating pancakes while Genna, who is the overweight scribe, writes and reads span-read communications with Gawks. We find out that Shinovar and Erie have already seen the Everstorm pass. So if you look at a map, I don't have one in front of me, but the Everstorm started in the Shattered Plains and is going from west to east. So it has gone out into the ocean, passed over the origin, and is coming back around the other side of the continent over Shinovar and coming across as everybody is experiencing this new thing. Lift shows her surge binding glow to the scribes who are looking for strange events, because she has a team of scribes now looking up information. They're like, well, what kind of strange event? And she's like, things like this. And she just makes herself glow. She can't decide which story she wants to go investigate. We get a decree from the prince, which interrupts. Okay, which prince is this? Is this Dalinar?
No, this is the prince of the city.
There's a prince in this city,
Or this like country.
but that person reports to the emperor.
Yeah, it's like from what I understand, it's like the Empire is Azer, and so you have like gods. But then it's broken up to certain states or whatever that have their own autonomy that supersedes the Empire. but like
at times of like where it doesn't make sense. Like, okay,
yeah, that's what I got from it. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I read it. What do you think?
Uh,
did we have
I would
that
say-
conversation about that on Thursday? Or did I have this conversation with somebody else?
I can't remember.
Because it was almost that same thing where it's like, I like how they have an emperor, but like if anybody underneath it is like, yeah, that's all fine and great, but that doesn't make sense right now, and they'll just override what the emperor says.
Yeah, I think of it kind of like not quite the same, but built kind of how like Europe is its own countries, but it's also part of the like all the ones that are part of the EU. So the EU has like let's say if the EU was more of an actual governing party than just a mostly economic kind of style
Right.
thing, where they were like, hey, we want you to this is what we want you to do, but each country can also be like, yeah, we're not actually gonna do that. Or that's against our,
Yeah.
so they have
Also,
autonomy. They still
yeah. Also, they're
recognize.
they're in an emergency, so you could see like ground level emergency superseding this like help this child type thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, the
But yeah.
prince has a decree that comes out, and everybody starts packing up and heads to Storm Bunker, leaving.
I will say that it is weird that he's a prince and not a king, or that he's the title of prince. You have like emperor, so you could have a king of like. So I don't know. Just prince is a weird term. Big baron or something. I don't know.
I think
Yeah.
it should just be a symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Previously known as Prince.
Yeah. So he has decreed that everybody needs to seek shelter for the storm. And all the scribes start packing up and heading out to their storm bunkers. And they leave Lift with a junior subscribe who she ditches pretty quickly and runs off. And her and Wendell decide to try to find the female Skybreaker initiate, because they figure, oh, you know what? They probably had a team of scribes researching stuff. So they have research done already. And so let's go find them. So pretty much the chapter, we get 4 more pancakes, so we're up at 8. I'm not happy that 2 of them were of an unknown variety and no description.
Yeah.
But the other 2 were dense with mashed up sticky and salty paste in it, and then one covered with crunchy seeds. And then the other note I had here is Liv talks about her lucky sphere and that she has traded it. And I don't remember her trading it, or I don't even remember really her having a lucky sphere.
I think
I
it's in
don't
the interlude.
Okay.
I can't remember what happens with it. Where is it? I think she gives it to Cox maybe in the interlude.
I mean,
Maybe I'm making that up. I don't know.
that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, but I could just be projecting that. Let me ask you this: we're getting all these pancakes.
Are y'all pancakes or waffle guys?
Waffles. Well, I can't eat a lot of either just because I get sick of it kind of really quickly. Like I've
Yeah.
always been this way. Like I've always been like, but like a pancake, at least you can, like cut it and like little syrup traps and you eat one and you're like, that's good. Like
You mean a waffle?
a waffle, yeah, sorry. Yeah, pancakes, I don't know. Something about pancakes is just it's daunting. It's like, you got IHOP and there's like this big stack of pancakes, like, good God, you eat like a little portion of part of it, you're like, oh, I can't eat anymore. What is this?
I like both. The thing I like about waffles is the syrup trap idea. The thing I like about pancakes is you can stack them up and you can put stuff in between them. And yeah, so it depends on my mood. If I'm being real honest, I don't eat either of them often at all.
Makes sense. A lot of carbs.
So yeah, I mean pancakes and waffles are very, very calorie dense, especially when you start putting butter and syrup on them.
Yeah, true.
You could literally eat easily 1,500, 2,000 calories of either one,
Yeah.
and then feel hungry in a couple more hours. So yeah, so she's up at 8. She has 2 more varieties left.
Spoiler alert, just one.
Yeah.
No, there's 2. No, just kidding. All right, chapter 15.
Yep.
All right. Oh yeah, the captain of the watch was in there as well, right?
Yeah, she was. And around this time, this is around the time I started being like, okay, it can't be the captain of the watch, because if it was the captain of the watch,
She would have revealed.
there would have been something. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
here's where information is like, oh, it's the captain. Or darkness would have also been, or like something, would have pointed to her. But it's just at this point I started questioning. I'm like, oh, was
Yeah.
the
Yeah, I
captain of
really
the watch the red herring?
I really thought it was the abandoned kid that was hurt. But I thought she was gonna like show up and like do something at the end, but she doesn't.
Yeah. All right, chapter 15. So Lift gets the information from Genna about Bidlell's team, who was the scribe in charge of investigating for the Skybreakers. They head off to Lift and Wendell head off to room 232. They basically guilt Genna into giving that information, which she should not have given them. And they duck off when they hear voices as the Skybreakers and Seth pass them by. The Skybreakers are not very experienced with much in investigating, and they don't even think about anybody trailing or being around. Seth, however, kind of has a feeling that somebody's down the hallway. He tosses the sphere down and lights lift up, and she's just like, ah. And he's like, basically, does he talk to her here or just keeps moving down the way?
He's moving now. He
Yeah,
talks
he-
to her.
Talks to her later, right?
Yep.
But it's obvious he knows she was there. Then Wendell goes in and sneaks into the room to listen to the Skybreakers talk. Seth is outside the room, not inside. And meanwhile, Lift starts to think about her mother and the world and how they both waste away with time. So I'll go ahead and finish the summary. On the way out, Seth sees. Oh wait, no. Seth sees her on the way back out, but leaves her be. So him tossing the thing is as after they spy on the Skybreakers conversation. Wendell didn't understand most of what the Skybreakers were saying, but they are on their way to execute a surge biter. So I think Lift. So talking about Lift, and especially with her thoughts here about her mother and the world wasting away. I think her request to not grow up had something to do with the trauma of losing her mother and how she lost her mother.
Yeah, probably.
So I really want I want to know more about her past, and hopefully it's not like the same as Shalon's, which I don't think it is. I think her relationship with her mother is better, is more positive than Shalon had with her mother. And then her mother just dying was tragic, almost like her mother wasted away from old age. And nobody but Lift cared. Like Lift, it fits in with the oath of the Edgedancer, right? So like remembering those who were forgotten. So nobody else was around. Her mother raised her by herself. Her mother was old, and when she died away, nobody cared, and it left Lift all alone.
Yeah. Probably. Seems like it. Yeah, I wonder if we'll get maybe book 5 will be Lift's flashbacks.
I know who book 5's flashbacks are.
Spoiler. Is it the Crab Man?
Yes, it's the Crab Man.
Man.
It
Alright,
is the
cool.
Crab
Well,
Man.
I would actually like that.
Even though you hate the Crab Man.
I don't hate the Crab Man. He broke my brain. I was like, what the hell is happening? I had to like reread that page like 3 times. It's like
Yeah.
it suddenly sprouted into millions of crabs. I'm like, what is going on? And they formed his hand and his eye. Like okay, sure.
Yeah, he was basically wrapping himself back up. Like
Yeah. I mean, we should have gotten a novella on him.
maybe we will. We'll send this clip right here as our request. All 3 of us. Brandon Sanderson, please give us a novella about Arklow the Crabman.
Yes.
I wish to know more.
Oh
my god, the interludes could be individual Kremlings that have extra thoughts, and they're like moving around like, oh, I was his finger the other day, but now I'm his shoulder. And I always liked being part of the hand because I felt like I was doing stuff. But the shoulder, I don't do anything. I just sit here.
That would just be the epigraphs at the beginning of the chapter.
Oh, the
It'd be
little.
like, yeah, it'd be like crab number 14, formerly of the thigh.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Crab number 64. Today I have penis duty. Except they're not sexually active. It's just simply for urinary.
Yep.
He doesn't. If he ever gets into a situation where he needs to pull it out, he always tells people, "I can't. I have crabs."
Yes.
No.
This is Chris's last podcast.
Right? As fun as it has been up to this point, this is it. I'm going to kick you off the podcast now.
All right, bye.
Okay, everybody say bye to Chris.
I have such a good one for the end of this book, though.
Oh wait, no, it's not bye, Chris. It's Chris, go home.
I am home.
Yeah, and so also to Seth, Seth actually seems to be the check and balance that Nail needs. After being made to do atrocities by people who called him a liar about the Herald's returning, Seth seems to want the Knights Radiant to return at this point to prove his innocence. Like, if the Knights Radiant returns, then he could be like, he has justification to go back to Shinovar to deliver justice and retribution for those that made him what he was. Silence?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I agree with you. Like, this is beginning the redemption arc of Seth.
Yeah.
He's like the person on the enemy team who isn't there to kill you, who's there to be like, yeah, this isn't what they should be doing.
Right.
Yeah. Even I think the Skybreakers have the best powers though. They have flight and healing. Like those are the best powers.
Yeah.
They have healing?
I mean,
Wait,
the Herald has healing though. So
I think Surge, like Stormlight itself, just heals people.
yeah, Stormlight heals yourself.
Yeah.
but the Nail has regrowth or whatever, right? That's how he healed Seth.
No, whatever. I think that's just a power of the Herald. Whatever the stump is the other one that has regrowth.
Yeah, because only each
Yeah.
power only 2 can have. So
Right. Only Yeah, each power only 2 radiant orders.
So the
have-
heralds can just heal people.
I would assume so.
Alright. I thought it was because he was a skybreaker and had those 2 powers.
No, like the heralds are in.
Well, we know she has, so she could fly. She could have laughter. We don't actually know what the second skybreaker power is. Then
Well, we know that Skybreaker's sprint are not cultivation sprint.
sure, but that's lift. That's Edgedancer.
Right.
So they could have lashings and healing. That is possible. I don't know. Somehow he healed Seth, and he is a Skybreaker. So I just assume that he had the powers of the Skybreaker.
I feel like regrowth itself is a power of cultivation.
Yeah.
And Skybreakers don't seem to be the type that have a sprint that is of cultivation.
Sure. I don't know. It just threw me when he healed the dude. They should have left him dead, but that's besides the point. So I mean, if heralds have all the powers, then that's fine.
I don't think they have all the powers, but they're like demigod. I mean, they're gods, right?
Yeah. I mean,
they're like Maiar, I guess. they're angels of God, basically.
Yeah. Chapter 16?
Yeah.
All right. Here, Lift follows the apprentices outside. They take flight. Seth stays behind. Seth mentions that his sword, this sword has been named in the series at this point.
I
I
don't think so.
Okay.
We've just heard it talking to him
Okay.
at the end of the last book.
Then I will not read the name. I
Is
know.
Is it Narsil, Flame of the West?
Yes, it's no.
Where's my
Yeah,
book?
it is Narsil.
Okay.
So Seth says that the sword likes lift, and so like lift is not going to, or sorry, Seth is not going to kill lift. Mentions that the Skybreakers are heading towards a light weaver that's outside the orphanage. So we think that the old man is a light weaver. And again, Seth definitely disagrees with Nail. Mentions that to Lift. And Lift can't remember. She calls the Grand Indicium another name. And that's the summary of the chapter. I didn't take any other like thoughts. Do y'all have any? It's kind of a transition chapter, really.
Yeah, man, it's cool seeing Seth. I like how she's like, they fly now. It's very much a funny thing. That is like the best power.
Yeah.
Yeah, the power and changing gravity.
Yeah, I wonder which oath you need to get your shard blade. Because that's gonna be fun. They all like suit up in their shard plate.
Oh, you said shard plate. I thought you said shard blade. I was like the third one. We've seen it.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the fourth.
Maybe. Or it's the last one.
Or
So I assume it's also part of their powers to get their own shard blade.
Probably.
Maybe they get a second sprint and it's like their plate.
Yay.
That'd be cool. Anyway, yeah, it's fun. It's kind of like, all right, stuff's starting to happen. I was like, it was weird that they thought it was a white weaver.
Well, yeah, because the appearance is changed, right?
Yeah, because because he's a crab man, he's changed his appearance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Crab man.
Chapter 17. So Lift clumsily makes her way through the streets of the orphanage, continuously falling and hurting herself and healing herself. She talks about the grand indigestion. Sounds terrible. She gets to the orphanage and there's nobody outside, and Stump lets her inside. Lift finally gives Wendell an answer about like what she wants, and essentially it comes down to, I just want to be able to control what happens to me. Don't we all, Lift? Don't we all? The boy with the scar is healed even more and doesn't sound like an idiot. He actually sounds pretty intelligent now. The Stump feeds everybody pancakes. The storm, so the Everstorm is coming, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of starting to rain. So it's different. There's no storm wall, so like the rain just kind of creeps up in little layers, and then it gets gradually gets more chaotic. And there's lightning going on. The Stump had boarded the door, but Lift opened it and slipped out when the Stump wasn't looking, and she goes to find the old man.
Because that's who they think the light.
The Light Weaver, yeah. She wants to go save the Light Weaver. And so here she is she's on the verge now of finding the words for the next ideal, and she doesn't quite even realize it yet. I think in the next chapter she makes a comment that she's said the words in her head and she doesn't know why she has to say them out loud for the powers to come. So she knows what words she needs to say at this point. Does anybody any comments on this one?
One thing we forgot to mention is that Prince ordered all the Parshmen out into the storm. So
Yeah.
They're all fixing to become Voidbringer. It's gonna be fun.
That's weird too, right? So if they're not out in the storm, are they gonna transform?
I think they would transform anyway. So the idea is like get them out of the city, so when they transform, they're not in this, surrounded by people.
Yeah.
But they look so sad when they're just huddled out there in the rain in their dull form. And then once the storm comes and they transform, they're like, fuck these fuckers for putting us out here. Yeah, we're gonna kill them.
I want to see some decay. The decay forms. There was some cool forms in the
Smoke form.
Smoke form, yeah.
All right, so chapter 18. This is where we really get to understand the Crabman. So
Justin's favorite part of the book.
It actually is.
This is a fun chapter. It really is a fun chapter. So Lift is just completely in awe of how bizarre this new storm is. She goes out, she finds the two Skybreaker apprentices dead in an alleyway. She like trips over their bodies. She meets Arklow, who was responsible for killing the two. She mentions that Nail himself knew not to come after him, and so like apparently the apprentices didn't tell Nail that they were going after who they were going after. Otherwise, he might have told them like, no, that's not who our target is.
I know we leave him alone.
Yeah. So the heralds know what sleepless are. During this conversation, Arklow is like putting himself back together with the Shikwa wrappings while talking about philosophy. Why are you? It was a question that came up and sparked Lift to think about why she is there. again and constantly thinking that nobody is listening. Lift realizes that this is the point where she realizes that the stump is a radiant and that the stump doesn't even realize it. She thinks that just all the kids are faking being sick just to get food. But in reality, Stump is healing her. We do find out that Arklow, so one is a sleepless. I get hit by autocorrect again. This one's hilarious. It says made of a horse of cream lungs. A horse of cream lungs.
Oh, sounds like the worst soup flavor.
God, a horse of cream lungs. God, a horde of crimlings. So Arklow mentions another sleepless named Sia. Sleepless in Seattle. No,
that was bad. I mean, Chris liked it. Chris liked it.
I approved. I liked it.
Arklow also knows Axes the Collector. I have a theory about Axes. I think Axes is a Radiant himself. I think a Stone Warden. And if you go read the description on the epigraph in Words of Radiance about the Stone Warden, I think that was the one I mentioned. Where is it? Oh well, whatever. But it talked about seeking adventure just for adventure's sake and being curious about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can. I mean, I guess it's possible to be a immortal, whatever the hell he is, and a radiant.
Axes?
Yeah. They named his race. I forgot what he was.
Oh, he's an Amian.
Yeah.
And Amia is a country. Like
Yeah. But they're also like immortal or something.
No, they're just shapeshifters.
Yeah, but don't they live for hundreds, thousands of years or something?
I don't know.
I think he lives for hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah. He was something weird.
Yeah.
He might be a radiant.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
We've literally gotten one chapter of him and a brief mention of the like twice now.
Yeah, twice. I want more of him, but so it says that they have a general, well, they inconsistent in temperament, save for a general love of adventure, novelty, or oddity. And that just that lines up with Axes so much, just because he just wants to go observe crazy spren and things.
Yeah, so now we have 4 different intelligent races on Roshar. We have humans, we have Amians, we have Parshindi, and we have crab people. We have sleepless.
Well, sleepless are like a special thing. They're not really, I wouldn't call them a race.
How do we know that? We don't know what they are. They're like a hive mind of crabs. I'm gonna ask you this: if one of the crabs gets a sprint, can they become the nice radiant? I want a crab man. Crab night radiant.
I have a better question for you. If Arklow, over the years, does his crabs die and new crabs appear?
I'm guessing.
Is he the, what was it, the Theban ship? Like, after like all the crabs that were once part of him have died and new crabs appear, is he still Arklow or is he a new creature?
Ship of Theseus.
Sympathesius, that's one.
I mean, if they're a hive mind, then no. I don't know.
Yeah, this character is super cool. He does talk, he talks about the Omnithi, which have a belief that each night when you go to sleep, you die and you wake up a different person. So they live their life differently. They like live their life as if it's the only day that they have, which is an interesting philosophy.
I don't think it really works because, like, all right, I have my one day. I have to go clean the gutters. All right, my one day of life sucks. All right, like wouldn't it just be anarchy, just like hedonism? If you have one day to live.
I could see some mentality about it being not so much like this is my only day, I'm gonna die at the end of the day. More like this body's gonna continue. When I close my eyes, the world's gonna keep going. The world is not there because I exist. I exist in the world. And my one day of being, this is my one day. Tomorrow, this body will still be here, and something just like me with my memories will be here doing something. So I could see it being putting a there is no tomorrow for me, but there's still consequences from today, tomorrow. So you don't necessarily do as much of I'm gonna do insane stuff as much as I'm not gonna put stuff off. Like if I need to clean the gutters, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'll just do that tomorrow. I'll be like, no, this is my day. I need to do it. I have no reason not to do it today. Like I like this person, well, I'm gonna go tell them I like them. Like it makes you just gives you like the giddy up to go do something. That makes sense. That's how I say it. That's all.
Sure. Also, we're talking about the Crabman. Wasn't in one of the books we had this philosophy of like, what part of a thing are you and stuff?
Yeah,
It's kind of
Wit brings that up.
familiar.
Wit brings that up. He says,
Okay.
Like if you take something apart, if you take a body apart and you put it back together differently, is it still the same thing? I think.
Yeah, I thought there was something with like basically this philosophy of like what type of the body are you, and we're all part of like a whole and stuff. I couldn't remember who did it. Maybe it was Wit.
It was definitely Wit, and what I got from that is he was talking about like ad nauseum, which is like before all of these shards were separated, they were one, and they got killed and splintered out, and that's where like all the powers on each of the planet in the Cosmere come from. Each of these pieces that represent, like odium represents just the pure hatred of God, without any other checks and balances. Honor, obviously, honor. And then if you've read Mistborn, you know that there's ruin and God, why can't I? Whatever, it doesn't matter. The opposition to ruin.
Yeah.
So anyway, these ideas, these concepts of things that some of them are complete opposites of each other. But yeah, I that piece I felt mostly referred to that.
Let me ask you this. So the Parshmen worship the chasm fiends as gods. Do you think that was a misnomer and they actually worship the sleepless as gods? Because they're like crab people? And maybe like their final form they can just assemble into a chasm fiend?
No,
No.
No.
Maybe.
no.
I mean, do we know that all the sleepless? We don't know how many sleeplesses there are, right?
Yeah. We don't know if they're all little tiny crab people. Maybe some of them were big chasm fiend people.
Maybe there's one that can like assemble chasm fiends onto each other, and they're like a
Yeah, like a giant Voltron-y thing.
No, I mean I
Yeah.
don't believe that's real, but that would be awesome.
I'm just saying,
That's
if,
fine,
we,
fine.
if you suddenly show me that there's like a hive mind crab people that are immortal and have existed forever, anything is possible in this fucking world. Because that is the most insane shit ever.
See, I took it
You're
not
just-
so much as
just- To just throw into a novella.
I don't take it as there's a race of. I felt the sleepless.
There's at least two of them.
Yeah,
you
He
don't know
says,
which
and
one's a
he says that
Kremling-
they're immortal.
You don't. Is the other one a Kremling, a combination person, like a crab person,
I don't know.
or is the other one something completely different?
don't know.
That's the thing. It's like if all the sleepless are swarm Kremlings, hive mind creatures, then yeah, it's like okay, this is a bit odd. But if there's something else, like let's say, I don't know, the original Spren that created Kremling. And so they're attached to them, so it's just like the creation of them, and that's the Kremlin creation Spren. But like from the cognitive realm is in this realm, and that then so he's absorbed with them, and like maybe like that, and that's what he is. And there's some other thing that's like that, like maybe I don't know, like the creation of knowledge, and there's just some person that just seems normal, but they're like weirdly like silent but know everything. You know what I mean? Like they could be a collection of things that are each one's wildly different, but how they came about to being is the same.
Could be. I don't know.
So that's how I kind of took it as.
I'm just saying, I thought I knew what was going on in Roshar, and this just threw me for a fucking. I'm like, what is happening?
It doesn't matter too much because he kind of just.
It doesn't matter at all, and it's just so weird. Just I am a crab person that has a hive mind, and blah blah blah. And there's other people called sleepless. So I'm like, all right, dude, sure.
And then he mentions that he has a task that he has to do, but doesn't say what it is. So he's got to come up again, right?
Yeah, like
if he mentions that he has,
I hope he's the main character of the next 5 books of Stormlight after the time skip or whatever is going to happen at the end of this.
He is Honor.
Maybe Honor turned into crab. I think he's Davy Jones, and this is just Pirates of the Caribbean. Because it really reminded me of Johnny Depp and just all the crabs on him. I'm just like, all right, cool.
Yeah, no, that fits.
Yeah, this was so weird. I love it. It's probably why this book's all right, but it's just such a weird thing to throw in. All right.
Yeah. Are y'all ready for the climax?
Yeah, bring it on. That sandwich.
All right.
Wait.
It is. All right. So Lift makes it back to the orphanage after realizing that Stump is the Radiant. Now, she got hit by lightning, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she got hit by lightning when she was on her way back. And then, but she goes inside to confront Nail. But regardless if she did get hit by lightning, the red glow is in the sky. There is red lightning coming down. There's rain happening, and it's just, to her, the most bizarre storm that she's ever seen. She goes inside. She insults Nail. Figures that she can make him use all of his Stormlight and then eat food and use her powers against him. So she's not going to win a upfront physical battle with him. She has to make him use all of his Stormlight and then ingest food and then use her powers against him. While she's doing that, the door to the roof opens up and Stump comes in, and she saves Lift because Nail is about to kill Lift. But then Nail stabs Stump, letting her bleed out. Lift thinks that Nail's using her as bait to go over there so she can grab him. She slides past Nail, runs to the roof into the Everstorm. Nail comes and follows. Wendell turns into a shard blade, and Lift says the third ideal. Which, by the way, in the last chapter, that's when I kind of figured out that the next ideal, I guess that the next ideal had to deal with listening. And of course, here we do find out I will listen to those who have been ignored is the next ideal. Wendell turns into a shard rod. Then Lift listens to what and processes what Nail has been saying, gets him to realize that he failed in his mission to prevent the Voidbringers from returning, that they're already back. Lift gives Nail a hug. Then Nail just flies off into the storm. He does his best impression of Powder. And then Lift goes and rushes to heal Stump. I think Chris got that reference. Yeah. So those are the events. I thought it was a pretty badass little battle.
You nailed it, man.
Thanks for lifting me up.
You're welcome. That was my comment on this. Is it ends with, and it's true, but it also is. Nail's living in a world of darkness, and she goes to the darkness and lifts him out of it.
I think you broke Justin.
Yeah.
Waka waka. No.
Or is
You-
Justin stumped?
Ah.
Yeah, I am.
Now, I will say this is a cool chapter because you really get the fact that one of the things you get in there is, and you sense it all along. Like you go back and you can sense it and everything she's done previous to this. She understands a lot more of what is happening than she lets on. She's smarter than it lets on. She's, you know what I mean? Like I
It's
said,
almost like she's living in denial.
exactly. Like she doesn't want to admit that she is growing up, she's learning, she's having all this. Like her world is so much bigger than she wants it to be.
And I mean that in a way that's what Nail was doing as well, right?
Yeah, he was trying to keep his world small also. Which, yeah.
And the Stump for that matter too.
Yeah.
She was
Even though I
in
think-
denial about all of the people coming in and they're getting healed.
Yeah, but I think unlike I think Lift is scared to get out of that denial, and because she doesn't want to grow up, admit, like she's grown, all this that she's gonna have to experience life. And meanwhile, Darkness, Nail doesn't want to admit, hey, the Voidbringers are back, you're gonna have to deal with this reality. Stump just doesn't know. Stump is more ignorant than in denial, if that makes sense. I don't think she's really like, no, it can't be me. I can't be healing. It's more like, what?
Yeah, that makes
I am?
sense. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like Nail and Lift do have kind of opposite-ish.
Yeah, I will say I don't know if this really works for me, honestly. I think it's too fast for Nail. It's kind of my whole problem with him about how bad his plan is. She's literally just like, look, it's a storm. And he's like, oh yeah, I failed. All right, bye. Like it's kind of it's the problem with this being a novella and not in the actual novel itself. It's just kind of simple for me. And it brings down the book because it's just like he thought Darkness Nail could have been a cool character, but he's just kind of I don't care about him at all. He's just kind of stupid. And this just like ends really fast. And it's like, all right, cool. There was a fight, and the fight was kind of cool. And he's like, oh wait, I failed. Bye. I'm like, all right, cool. See you next book, I guess.
So for someone that complains about so many secret societies, there is a novelette that is about one of the secret societies, explores the secret society more, and then resolves with the secret society basically imploding.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, no, I didn't like the fact that it imploded. I wanted to stretch it out. I was like, oh my God.
No, I wanted the secret society to be more interesting, or it should not have existed.
I think it was fine.
I don't think it's necessarily a secret society. It's an order of the Knights Radiant.
I know, but like, I think
they were set up in the previous books as like a mystery society that was doing stuff. And
they
what they were
doing
doing was
stuff.
stupid. So like so
It's-
far,
it makes sense. It's
if you
opposite
didn't
of what
if you didn't have this in the novel, it would not matter. If you just took out the Skybreakers and some random dude becomes a Skybreaker, it'd be fun. Like I don't know. Oh no, they weren't killing. I don't know. It just doesn't matter. I don't care about this at all.
I disagree. I can't say why I disagree because I've read some into the third book.
Well, maybe it gets better, but right now I just don't care about this at all.
There is a good reason the Skybreakers are there, because they were kind of, think about what they were doing. They were trying to kill off the Knights Radiant to make sure that the desolation doesn't happen. Meanwhile, you know that like Gavilar and Amaran, at least, you know, by the end of the second book, they were doing something where they were trying to bring about the Voidbringers to make the Radiants come back alive. So that's those are two secret societies that are on full opposition. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't need them.
Like,
And
and it's
Justin doesn't need them.
I don't need like half the secret societies in this books, but just fine. Like, and it's just fine. The resolution of this is fine. It's too quick and easy. Like, I think it just would have been better in an actual novel instead of this.
I think, but if there was an extra 50 pages in this novella, Justin, would you have increased your rating of the book?
No, I want it to be I want it to be in concert with our main characters. And I would say I think Lift is a really, really good, like probably A tier side character that could in addition with the rest of the novels become a main character. But she just kind of resolves this like D plot about the Skybreakers. But like, so Seth is with the Skybreakers, who is tied in with all of our other main characters, and like we could tie it in with Dalinar and Kaladin and all that stuff, with them forming nice radiance and stuff, and having this opposition to it, and then having their ideals go against Nile and stuff like that. And I think it would have been better because I have those are the characters I care about, instead of just like Lift does stuff and the secret society is done. And I get why you need to have Lift more important if she's more important in the rest of the novels, which you probably will be. But it's fine. Like, it's fine. Like I said, it's a 6.5. Just doesn't really work for me. It's a cool like sequence, but it just doesn't really, like all the Skybreaker stuff, like him saving Seth, like is one of the worst parts of the last book. The really good finale of it. It's just like that was a really cool death, but he's back.
I mean, I'm gonna agree with you with that. I actually weirdly would have been okay with Seth dying and not being part of it. I feel like, but I still like the book and everything else. Like I still like it.
No, it's like a 10. It's good. It's just maybe it'll get better with the rest of the novels and stuff. But right now, it's just kind of how I feel about this, and like, and maybe it was because also this entire stuff in the interludes was so not tied in with the rest of our characters that I care about. Just like, oh, this random dude's killing people, and it's sad. Oh, the cobbler guy got killed. That was sad. Oh, Lift didn't get killed. She's cool. Hey, we'll see you later. And it's like, oh yeah, I was killing everybody to stop a thing, and then the thing happened. All right, bye.
But I see you bringing that up. I think that gives us insight to why aren't there more people with radiant powers that are being talked about in the world? And it's because there's a force there trying to keep them dead and from coming to light and bringing the orders back.
Yeah. So I really like it's interesting if like all the different heralds have their own like orders of Night Radiance that they've been building up for millennia or whatever, and like they're doing stuff. But what they were doing was not that satisfying to me. Like it's an interesting idea. I just don't think it works right now for me. But maybe in the next book it will. I don't know. It's fluid in my thing. But the fight was fun. I like that she has like a rod, and he like says ow whenever he gets hit. It's pretty funny.
Like I like the conclusion because it felt true to this, like because this novelette was definitely much lighter. The stakes were smaller. The stakes got rather big at the end, and then the crab person entered, made the world huge and crazy. But like, I like the fact that it wasn't violence. that there was something else. That there was.
I think if her argument was better, but she's like, "Look, the Everstorm's here," and he's like, "Oh yeah, the Everstorm's here. Bye. I failed. All right." Like it wasn't like she convinced him. It was more like, "Hey, the thing is happening. The thing is happening. All right, bye." Like maybe if it was that, like he had like she had a more convincing like thing. It was like, "I hug you. Oh, get your humanity back. All right, bye." I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just big, but I know
I
y'all.
think
Like,
it's because it's the chapter after the crab person. You're still like, what?
if the crab person showed up and like killed Nail, that would have been really cool.
See that?
I just wanted more crab person.
I could tell.
Or if we ended the book right there, and there was 3 chapters of the crab person and the secret sleepless society doing another secret society and like crab people and deep in the earth and like the desolation is here. We must rise and become our crabness. Wouldn't that be good? I don't know. I'm just making stuff up now. But yeah, this book is fun. It's fun.
It is. It's really fun.
I like it.
Y'all want to?
Like I hope the other novellas like Hornator and stuff. If they are just like world building, see. Also, I think if this was just like a world building fun novel, it might have also been a little bit better. But this is like finishes this secret society thing, which is fine. I don't know. It's weird. But I don't know if it would have been better as more fluff than having this weird stuff at the end, or like more like serious stuff. Or I don't know. My thoughts are weird on this novel.
I could tell.
All right, chapter 20.
Yeah.
To finish off the end of this book. So we get the resolution at the end. Wendell is talking about how being a proper sword would be regal. Mick's mother comes back and gets Mick, but we don't know who told her that Mick was healed.
He's like,
You might not even known she was.
"Sorry, I abandoned you."
Yeah. Like, oh, it's okay, mother. I'm healed. Let's go. Like,
I kind of took it as the mother because he was like, because even before he was healed, he was like, "Mom, when's mom coming back?" And like Liv's just like, "Dude, she ain't coming back." And I kind of took the mom coming back as, no, the mom felt bad. The mom came back for him. And then just so happened to be like, "Oh my God, you're healed," but she was coming back anyway.
or she knew that, like, hey, rumors, like, hey, any kid that gets dropped off here ends up looking better.
Maybe.
And
Maybe.
shows up.
That would have been a good little inclusion, though.
Yeah.
Instead, just like, I guess this lady who abandoned her kid came back. And good for him, I guess. Just kind of funny.
Lift is eating a stack of a dozen pancakes. At that moment, there was no reveal of a new type of pancake, though, which kind of made me sad.
Yeah.
But we do get the last, or the 9th one had a mealy texture. And of course, the 10th pancake was metaphorical in honor of Tashi.
That's power converters.
Yeah, dude, I was gonna make that joke and I forgot about it. I was like, "Hey, Lift finally goes to Tashi's station to get a power to be a power converter." The pancakes are the power. She's the power converter, and she eats pancakes and turns it into Stormlight. Thank you for being on the same wavelength with that. I totally didn't write it down and missed my opportunity to be the first one to mention it. So congratulations, Justin. You are now the podcast. You are Paperweights.
I am the podcast.
I
am all the Jedi.
Yeah. Lift makes Wendell a fork. and then eats the pancakes with the fork. Luckily, she did not stab herself.
So I'm guessing just the tips are the shard.
Just the
Right.
tip.
Because otherwise it would just slice through the entire pancake.
Right.
Unless you just made it not be a shard blade.
Or blade. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
everything's
You can get hit with this. You can get hit with the broad side of a blade, and it not hurt you.
it hurt, but yeah.
I mean, she did make a shard rod that I think she could just hit people with.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But you make but did you think of a Smoker's from One Piece's stick press when she made the rod?
no, but now that you say it.
Yeah, I never watched One Piece.
We gotta get Brandon on the One Piece. You only have like 1,500 episodes to watch.
We're almost there.
Yeah, so Genna, the overweight scribe, shows up. What's her name? Oh, I forgot to mention that. Lift made her call her pancakeness. Childish and hilarious. She shows up with news from Gox, and Lift responds to it. She tells him about the pancakes. Lift threatens to call Nail back for the stump for lying about the pancakes, which is funny. She's like, "What? There's not 10? I should call the Skybreakers back for you for lying about this. It's complete injustice." And then at the end, Lift decides to head back to Azimir, gives a pancake to the guard on her way out, and then uses all of her Stormlight to heal the refugees that she walks past until she's out of Stormlight, which is a fun gesture. And this is where I questioned, is Stump also an Edgedancer or of a different order? Because she described her spren that's on the wall. It was like a flat reflective thing, and then when she was describing it, Wendell made himself look like something and nod, and Lift was like, "Oh, okay, that works."
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I took it as she was a different one because we don't know the other, or I mean, we probably do, but the other order that has healing.
Yeah.
And we need to like start filling out. If there's going to be 10 orders, we need to start filling out people that are in them. So it makes sense that you wouldn't double up on a person.
Yeah.
Quite yet.
Well, I mean, we already doubled up on the Windrunners.
Yeah, but we didn't introduce like a new character that was a nice radiant. That he's kind of like Kaladin's hierarchy guy, because that's kind of how they say it, right? Like Kaladin's kind of
so like
put his wind running.
And squires.
Yeah. I don't think he has a spren Lupin. But we'll see. I don't know. It kind of happened at the end of the last book.
Yeah, I think he should get a sprint.
Maybe. Like I don't know. It kind of reminded me of when Thor gives all the children his powers. That's kind of how it reminded me of. Like Kaladin's just kind of like pyramid scheming his powers down. But then they probably get sprints after that, but I don't know. It's weird.
Oh my god, Lupin's gonna go to the cognitive realm with a sprint that comes to him. And the sprint's gonna be like, I want you to come and meet all my cousins. And Lupin's gonna be like,
I've got 1,000 cousins too.
and it's just gonna be like, next thing you know, it's gonna be a new order just called the Lupins.
Yeah, he finds
that's the new order, it's just cousins.
He finds the sprint of the idea of cousins, and that's his order.
Oh my god, he becomes a sleepless one that is a swarm of cousins.
He might actually be a sleepless one. It's just cousins.
Maybe all the Lupins are a sleepless one of a hive mind.
Yeah, all Hardazians are just a sleepless one.
One sleepless.
I mean, I think
that's the plan.
And then we have giant crab man versus giant Lupin Hardazian man.
What's up, crab man?
And that's the end of the book. It's just like
two kaijus of crab people and Lupin. I read it.
On top of each other. Yeah.
Alright.
No. Do the Lopins like stand on top of each other, or do they do like Akira things where their bodies just morph together?
It'd be creepier to do Akira, so we should do that.
Yeah, so they just like into each other and create like massive flesh walls.
That's what the crab
But
man does.
They couldn't
Well, no, the crabs
Voltron
do snap.
together. They couldn't Voltron together until Lopin regrew his arm, though.
True.
Yeah.
Do we need Gaz to get a thing so he can regrow his eye?
Yeah. And then reveal that he's the bastard son of some honorable light eye
Yeah.
that ends up being a villain.
Sabario.
I love Svario.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sabario was awesome.
So yeah, so that's Edgedancer.
It's a good book.
Yeah. So
Pretty decent.
yeah.
Could be better.
I enjoyed it. It was
I-
really fun. It was really fun. Whether or not it really needed to be its own novella, I think there were ideas that needed to be written for the story.
Yeah.
But whether or not it needed to be 40,000 words of novella is questionable, but overall I enjoy it, and I think most people that are fans of Stormlight Archives just love having more Stormlight Archives.
Yeah, I
stories.
do think you can totally skip this and be perfectly fine. And then like you'll get a sentence of the Stormbreakers broke up because the Everstorm was here. And you're like, okay, cool. That's like I'm back with, because she kind of just goes back and goes back, and it's like, oh, I have a shark blade now. You're like, cool. That's you probably said the idea off screen. All right, nice. Like, you don't really need to read it. I didn't finish this book, so I'm proof positive that you can read the third book and not read this and be perfectly fine.
Well,
I will say,
I don't think this book was written before Oathbringer.
I will say I started like, so I would listen like a hybrid audiobook and book, and I was on vacation, so I was listening to a lot of audiobook when I finished Words of Radiance, and I didn't have Edgedancer as a audiobook, but I did have Oathbringer. So I went right into Oathbringer, and I mean I got past part 1 of Oathbringer before I got back from vacation and read Edgedancer. And I kind of wish I read Edgedancer first. I mean, I don't know. I definitely didn't miss anything. It's one of those things where like y'all have way more like y'all have Mistborn. Y'all have way more knowledge on the Cosmere as a whole.
It came out
So
before.
there are things that I miss while reading Stormlight Archives where y'all are like where I'm just like, listen to the podcast, y'all bring up stuff where I'm like, oh, I didn't catch that. But like there were things so far in the third book where if I had read Oathbringer, I would have been like, oh, okay, I kind of see this and this.
Or you
Like-
mean if you read Edgedancer before you had read Oathbringer,
Yeah.
you would have caught something.
Yes.
And I'll say this, I don't have that much more knowledge than you right now. Because I've read the 3 Mistborn novels, which they're not, at least so far, that relevant to this. I've read Warbringer. I literally remember nothing about Warbringer.
More breaker.
Breaker. See, I don't even remember the name of
I
the
keep
book.
saying Bringer also.
And I think that's it. Like
Oh.
I didn't read Era 2. I've read some Elantris, but it was kind of boring, so I stopped. And yeah, that's it. I never read Secret Histories. I haven't read any of the secret projects yet. Yeah, so I don't have that much. And honestly, I kind of like it. Like, I don't need this weird meta knowledge. At least right now.
Brandon enjoys the meta knowledge.
He does.
I love it.
I know you do.
Like, it's cool, but I'm curious when or if it will get to be too much. Kind of like how, like, Marvel, the early Marvel, like, the good movies are good movies because they're good. Like, Winter Soldier is good because of Winter Soldier. and it's good. And like you get a little bit because of like it's a sequel to Captain America, and you get Bucky and stuff. So like you need like little tie-ins, but like once you have to have watched like 15 different things and they're just constantly referencing each other, like it's good for Endgame because it ends. You're like, oh, that's cool. That's kind of what killed Marvel. Because you're like, cool, I don't need to watch any more stuff. It's over and it tied everything together. It's cool. So like if it does that, then it's gonna be fun. But if it like keeps on going, it's like, oh, you have to, before you read the 5th book, you need to read all of Mistborn, all the secret projects, and these 5 things. It's gonna be like, no, I'll just read the 5th book. It's fine.
So
If it makes
I
it
will
necessary-
say so far, everything I've read, I haven't read Dawn Shard, and I haven't read 2 and 3 of White Sand, which is graphic novels. Every place where I've seen interactions, it hasn't necessarily required me to, it hasn't been a crucial point of, okay, you had to know this. Outside of it being a continuation of that world. Like obviously Mistborn book 7 in era 2, you need to read era 1 to
Yeah.
get to there. But the introduction of off-world stuff into any of these other books, it's been a oddity, a interesting thing where, oh, that's interesting or odd. And if you've read the other stuff, then you realize what world it came from. But if you haven't, then you're like, oh, is this something we haven't learned about on this world? And if you don't, then it's like, okay, that's interesting. But I think as the books, it's never usually in the first book of any of the series, like terms like investiture, which is an overarching term for something that gives the magic in the Cosmere.
Yeah, like those lore terms are fine stuff, but like, it's just weird. Like it's cool, and like I enjoy the little tidbits of like if there's like a Crabman novella, you gotta let me know. I'll read that.
There's been no Crabman.
I didn't read any Crabman. Did you?
I read Crabman.
I didn't read a Crabman.
They taste like crab. Talk like people. But
I will say, do not read Sunlit Man, at least until you've read Rhythm of War. Possibly even until you read
is that 4?
5. Yeah. So the Sunlit Man is one of the secret projects, but I've read it and it's really cool, but it's very far future. And it has connection to Stormlight Archives.
It's like Kaladin got killed. Like shit. It's spoiled.
You just spoiled it for everybody.
And he got killed by the Crabman, who becomes the main character in the next book. So we're all good.
It is a really fun story, though.
Right.
So
I own all of them.
But Chris,
Yes.
So we're gonna wrap this up soon. I loved having you on this episode. I didn't necessarily plan to have you discuss the book, but I think it worked really fucking well.
I was happy to discuss it.
All 3 of us. Hell, I'm even considering having you on to discuss more. That might actually slow you down from reading beyond us, though.
Well, now I'm taking. You made me stop.
I did, and
even loud tap on this podcast a few episodes ago. You were like, you should barging ahead. So I stopped myself after I finished Edgedancer, and I've been reading Warbreaker. And I'm about to do Tress in the Emerald Sea while I'm on vacation.
That's a fun one. But so far, how have you enjoyed your intro to the Cosmere? Now, most people get their intro with Mistborn.
Yeah.
But you are starting with Stormlight, and there's even Brandon Sanderson has talked about good intro points for the Cosmere, and typically he points people to Mistborn. He definitely says Sunlit Man should not be a starting point for anybody to get into the Cosmere, because it is on the timeline of Cosmere, it is the farthest ahead right now, of any books.
Hmm.
But Mistborn is a good starting point, and Stormlight Archive is an okay starting point, but he doesn't recommend it just because of the grandeur of things. So if you don't want to commit to something that's as big as that,
Yeah.
don't start there. But you've started there. How are you enjoying Stormlight Archives? And yeah, how are you enjoying Stormlight Archives?
I mean, once I got into it, I started doing it like crack. So I'm very much enjoying it.
And
I
how
even-
often have you done crack?
Never, but I'm assuming it's pretty good. No, but like I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm really liking it. I'm like I said, like I'm gonna be listening to Trust in the Emerald Sea, and that's with Tony, like my best, like like he's my best man. He's riding with me on vacation, and we're listening to the audiobook. So there's someone else that might be getting into the Cosmere, and I thought about Coast Con costumes we could have, and I told Justin this about the other day. This is a side note, but I was like, we should all get like kind of like those jersey T-shirts, where like the front of it's like Bridgeford, like insignia and whatnot, and the back of it either our favorite Bridgeford character or our own names, kind of like a jersey thing. And we get Omen's little bridge that he has next to his pool, and we carry that with us, like Bridgeford.
Yeah,
And
you're
like
missing part of that.
me, Omen, and Justin, since like we're the ones read and Noah, we just that's our bridge crewers. You know, that'd be awesome busting into Coast Con like that, just
That would be crazy. Like it'd
I'd
be
be
like that parade of Mandos.
yeah.
You have to get a bone armor as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Be about it. I'd cosplay some bone armor.
Yeah, speaking of Tress, and having Tony had Tress be his first book, Mike, who used to be on the podcast, he just finished reading Tress of the Emerald Sea, and that was his first Cosmere novel. And I actually sent him a copy, that special
What
edition.
world is Tress in?
I forget the name of it. It's its own thing.
Oh, it's its own thing.
Yes.
That's fine.
The narrator is Hoyd, though. So
That'd be fun.
Tress and so both Tress and Yumi are narrated by Hoyd.
Okay.
And he has like one of his books is going to be the origin story of Hoyd, and it's going to be like one of the earliest in the timelines.
And it is once I was a little Kremling, and then it became lots of Kremling. And then I decided to make stories.
Yeah, so this was his practice of writing Hoyd's voice. And they're fun. They have some connections and stuff. But usually just little tidbits. Nothing major, no major event that so far that I've seen. But they can stand on their own.
Yeah.
You can read them and not read any other Cosmere and go like enjoy the book for what it is.
Yeah.
And that's been my experience with most of them. Obviously, if it's a series, you got to read the later books in the series. You have to read the ones before it to enjoy it. But
I don't believe it.
I would have been very lost if I just started there with Bringer and never had read. Like who the hell is Dalinar?
Yeah. Who's this guy?
I mean, you could kind of skip Way of Kings somewhat. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could maybe do it. That's like
You might be able to get like a synopsis of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, read the synopsis of it, but I mean, obviously, the best course of action is to read the book because it's a fun journey.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Rock.
so Justin the other week had mentioned it'd be fun for October to read a horror story. So let's see. This episode is going to be released if I can look at the calendar, this on the 11th. So this comes out the 11th. So the next episode will come out on the 18th and then one on the 25th. So we can either read the horror story this week.
Okay.
And release that discussion episode on the 18th. If you want to do that,
do whatever.
or we can, because if we did that, then we wouldn't have to stop in the middle of Oathbringer.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That works.
Because if we didn't do it this week, we'd start on Oathbringer and discuss part 1 of Oathbringer
then-
next
and then
week, and
break
then
it
we'd
up.
have to go back to the horror.
Yeah.
So you suggested I Am Legend. I believe you've read that before.
I've read it. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't.
It's one of my favorite novels.
It's a novelette. It takes like
Novelette.
2 hours,
Yeah.
maybe. Quick
Right.
read.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like 160 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking that if you want to do that, or if you didn't want to make people spend money and getting another book or whatever, we could do a couple of Lovecraft stories. Since they're public domain, you can find them online or some good audio renditions. So it's really up to you what you think.
I mean, I think I Am Legend would be fun. I've seen the movie, but I know the movie's different. But the book I'm up for
Okay.
reading it.
All right, yeah.
Do a little light reading this week.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
160 pages. It's really short.
Yeah. And then so we'll do that. We'll go ahead. Next podcast will be covering I Am Legend on theme for Halloween horror. And then the next week we'll pick up, and I'm thinking, let's see, we're gonna have to break up part 1 of Oathbringer just because it is 367 pages on the digital book.
Yeah, it's big.
So that is a huge chunk. That's about 100 pages longer than any section we've read and discussed so far. So the reading of it is not an issue for me. The discussion of it and the length of
It'll
the
be like
episode of
7.
discussion
Yeah.
is. So I would say we can read either the first 15 or 16 chapters. So that
Yeah.
puts us at 176 or 193 pages, which is about half.
Yeah, there's 32 chapters. So if you want to do prologue and 15 and 16 through the interludes.
Yeah. Let's read through chapter 16.
Okay.
For that first episode of Oathbringer. And then the next one will go through the interludes right before part 2.
Sounds good.
And then we'll judge the other groups later, because this is a gigantic book.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to finish the next 3 books before book 5 comes out, that's not going to be doable, and I'll just have to mute my Stormlight meme pages.
What's the 5th book we're doing? This, the 4th book, and Horneater?
No, so this one, Oathbringer, then we're reading Dawn Shard, and then Rhythm of War, which is book 4, and then Wind and Truth, which book 5 comes out in December. Horneater is going to be a book that is placed between books 4 and 5. And I think that's coming out in 2020.
That's not out yet.
No. Horneater release date. I think it's scheduled to release in December of 2026.
Okay.
So after the world ends. Because we know that after the next US presidential election, the
world is.
Everstorm is going to be summoned, and the Voidbringers will make their return.
Brandon, did you know who likes to eat crabs? God damn it, I fucked up my joke. Never mind. I was like,
Jameis Winston?
yes. It was gonna be, you know who likes to eat horns? Crabs. It's about the crab man, but I screwed it up. So edit me good.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that in there.
No,
I'm just taking out the bathroom breaks.
that's fine.
Yes, we don't sit here the entire time. Or we do, and we just pee.
I just pee right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mute the mic. Y'all don't know I'm muting it. I'm just like,
All right. Thanks both of y'all for coming on here.
thank you for letting me.
If y'all have made it to this far, and you're not Chris, then give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share, give us a subscribe, leave a rating, review, whatever it is. You could do any combination of those, or you can just like close this and go about your life and forget about us until next week. And I'm okay with that. But the more you do, the more it helps us, and the more people like you get to experience the things that you like and that we like doing. So everybody wins. And make sure you visit our sponsor, Mudcat Whiskers. You help them out financially and they help us out financially. That's the way sponsorship works, right? Don't forget to use code paperweights at checkout so they know where you came from. They track those things. Most of those people do track those things. They like to know where their sources are coming from. It's probably way too much information, but anyway, that's how all that kind of stuff works. We appreciate every one of you for listening and watching, or both if you do. I don't know if you like to look at our faces. We're all nerdy.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we will see y'all next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.